Hey, man. Hey, man.
On February 5th, 2023, Eric July debated organized chaos for 3.5 hours.
What do you mean new legacy care? Are you talking about knockoff versions? Is that what you're referring to?
While Bob went on with his life, Eric stayed on air for another 2 hours to declare himself the winner. This is what winning looks like.
I'm not gonna use aggression on you, but all I'm saying is people done got knocked the fuck out for a lot less. Don't let me go to a con and his motherfucking ass is there. You've left your parents or your children with a single mom. You left your children with a single fucking mom, divorced, fat, and out of shape, right? And white, right? And white, right? Right and white, right? Got this jackass in the chat. Here's this. Eric is so immature. This is how I think he says. Eric is so immature and insecure, resorting to fat jokes, making fun of his family situation and threatening physical violence. You're an inch shorter than me, and I got more on you, but I'm built. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't no fucking, like, you see what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm actually built. I'm built for this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not fucking, like, this is a solid 215. You see what I'm saying? Right? Solid. Look at this. This is a solid 215. Right? I'm built like a goddamn brick.
On February 5th, 2023.
At the beginning, Superman was very much a socialist superhero. He fought for the unemployed, the oppressed, he beat up wife beaters. It's about a man driven by a burning sense of injustice. There are no monsters or robots, he fights against corrupt council officials. He was conceived as a Depression-era superhero who dealt with the problems of ordinary people.
The canonical story of Superman is one that's well known and beloved by just countless people. But the real-life story of his creators, their hardships, their hard work, and their near erasure from history is one that I think we as a society should keep in mind. These early stories were rooted in doing the right thing for the common citizen, for the working class, not just fighting evil space gods and billionaires in bat suits. As terrific as those fantastical stories are, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love when Superman's fighting Darkseid and stuff, that's great. I think that he has strayed from his roots a little bit. There are still stories here and there that tap into those roots, such as Superman Smashes the Klan by Gene Luen Yang. But this story is out of canon, and stories like this are few and far between. Grant Morrison applied the original socialist angle to Superman during their run, bringing the hero back down to the streets, to a less godlike status. I don't believe that the cosmic epic battles need to be done away with entirely. I enjoy those too. I do think I'd be more drawn to Superman if they put more effort into reflecting those early humanist adventures, fighting corrupt systems and exploitative authoritarians. And I kind of suspect that it would resonate with a lot of people these days, as we increasingly see our power drained from us as if we're buried in kryptonite. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, first-generation working-class Americans, followed the instruction manual for the American dream to the letter. Hard work, perseverance, and loyalty to the industry that they chose and loved. They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, or in this case, their iconic red booties. They never wavered or faltered in their goal, and they never expected a handout. But they deserved a much greater profit from their labor, considering their work was the foundation for DC Comics and everything to come after. This issue of creators not being paid commensurate to the success of their creations is one that extends outside the comic book industry and outside art. It affects all of us. As the cost of living continues to skyrocket, as executive payouts reach just farcical numbers, the common person, the working class, those of us who create the value of these products, we're left behind. There is no Superman who's going to save us from exploitation and alienation, from, the value of our labor. But if we can learn to value our own labor and see it not as, small expendable cogs in a giant machine, but as necessary components for the machine to exist in the first place, which it is, maybe, just maybe, we can save ourselves and one another.
Working class hero is something to be. There's room at the top, they're telling you still.
It's the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It's clobbering time.
Probably stuff like that. What am I thinking of? But yeah, like it's and it's Chinese, I think.
Hello, and welcome to the thisness. That's not my best. I'll admit it's not very good. Hi, it's Friday. Here I am. There I am. How you guys doing? Everybody doing okay? 16 of you so far. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see who we got. Well, see, Mario's happy that he's going to go to jail. Andrew Tate.
Hello, woke moralists. Smash that like button and gentle tap that subscribe button. Make sure to mean both. Otherwise, they won't count.
And people think we're being too white people. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Let's see who we can cancel tonight.
By the way, little birdie told me that there might be an appearance by one Jordan Peterson at the Shillies on next week on Wednesday. So, hello, everybody. Blissful Haze. Blood. What up, Blood? Bob. What's he doing here? Oh, my God. And this Bob, too? And they're not even fighting. I don't like it. I don't like it. And another Bob. Holy shit. Got a three-way of Bobs. But at least so far, there's only one that's going to be on stream. What?
Hello, woke moralists. Who shall we cancel tonight? Who shall we cancel tonight?
Look, I know who I don't want to cancel because it seems like, honestly, the government might be trying to actually, like, really fucking cancel people like GM Morgan. Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
sorry
how's it going?
Introduce you with such heavy things, but how's it going?
Well, you know, it's been one of those weeks.
One of those weeks that there's been a lot of them lately.
It's been one of those weeks we keep having.
Yeah, slow news week. Not much happened.
I mean, if you're Matt Gaetz, not much happened. You just kind of went in a circle.
Let's go ahead. You know what? I do want to, before we get into anything else, I do want to mark some victories. Okay. Matt Gaetz is not going to be fucking Attorney General.
Woo!
He's just not. And that's
one
good.
less potential rapist in our government.
Yeah. I suspect that was part of the plan the whole time, though, honestly.
I would be shocked.
I think the plan was to normalize him, and then knowing he would get rejected so Trump could slip in Pam Bondi, who's just as bad but more competent.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe not as just like, I don't know. There's all kinds of ways I can imagine him being in charge of like justice in the country, and they're all bad. Yeah. You know, but competent definitely isn't one of them. But you know, lashing out willy-nilly is probably one thing that he would have done.
Yeah,
maybe she won't do
we
that
can
as
get
much.
into it later. Continue with the victories. We can get into
the
all
victories.
that later.
Another victory would be, it seems like, so if you followed whenever we covered that the Onion was going to be buying or had bought seemingly Infowars and everything that goes with it in a package deal as far as like their assets, their fucking mailing lists, their customer lists, their vendor lists, and all of the physical things, microphones, you know, all that shit. That was a pretty big win. But then like the next day, there's all this news about Elon Musk swooping in to save Infowars and, you know, fucking save Alex Jones's ass and all this stuff. I watched a Legal Eagle video today. Did you guys see that one?
I did.
No.
I watched it just before the stream.
It seems like all of that was bullshit.
Yeah, of course it was.
And the flexing and the fucking blustering that Musk and Alex Jones were doing. Imagine that those two guys just talking shit because they didn't like how things were going.
Wow. Never would have guessed.
So we still have a chance that the Onion might be getting away with this fucking completely legal, as far as I can tell, as far as legal can tell, fucking caper. It's a fucking caper, and I love it.
Well, they like the bankruptcy court had them in auction. All that whole process is above board and publicly done.
Yeah, and as we saw in the Legal video, there were only two bidders. There was the Onion and the Shell company that's probably owned by Alex Jones.
Right.
And both parties in the court documents agreed to the arrangement that was announced.
Yep.
So he basically has no leg to stand on.
Not a one.
Imagine that shit. Well, you know, we'll see. Hopefully it works out for the shit. What is that? Holy shit. Let me fix this again here.
Fix your shit.
Wait. I'm trying to get it to where the border is not covered up that I made here. I think I fucked it up.
Uh-oh.
Oh man. Oh, that's not good.
Fix it in post.
Just forehead cam. Hi, hello there. Hi, chat. How are you?
Let's
My
see.
forehead,
I'm gonna have to delete one of these things, I think. Sorry to be doing this on stream, man, but like I should have done it ahead of time, but I didn't. There's a third person that threw me off. Not to say that you're not welcome. You are welcome.
Yeah.
There we go. You know what? Fuck it. I'll figure it out next time.
We'll do it live.
These are the moments where you need a drop of Bill O'Reilly going, "Fuck it, we're doing it live."
Yeah, always have that drop.
Oh god.
Oh yeah. Housing and urban development.
No, Trump just appointed another black guy to that today. So Bill Cosby's not getting that one.
Another black guy who has no idea what it's like to live like somebody who's a poor black person or anything. I'm sure.
Right. But Trump sees the word urban. Yeah.
Right.
Trump sees the word urban.
I know what to do with this. Get that. What's that guy's name that he makes conjoined twins come apart? What's that guy's name?
Right.
He's black.
Good old Ben Carson.
Jesus Christ. Ben Carson's like the perfect example of somebody who, he just, as Morgan points out all the time, whenever I'm like, how can they be so stupid, so smart in some ways? It's like, well, because nobody's really smart in everything. And most people that are smart in one specific thing.
Yeah.
But I've actually read some stuff about Ben Carson that maybe he's not even as good at that shit as some of the myth, suggests. Anyway.
Yeah. You'll often find that people with highly specialized degrees in a technical or scientific field are kind of dumb. Not dumb is the wrong word, but they're uninformed.
Right.
Or they're just as uninformed as the rest of us on every other subject.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because you have we all share the same finite number of hours in a day.
Yeah.
And your situation or your brain chemistry or whatever might account for some more capacity, but it's not that much more.
Yeah. And the thing with Ben Carson and the surgery thing is like surgery isn't just a knowledge thing. It's also a hand-eye coordination and skill thing. It creates neural pathways that don't involve the same type of thinking as politics, for instance, or
true.
Like he could be like a doctor who had a C average and still be a brilliant surgeon because he's very good at the hand-eye coordination thing.
Right.
Well, okay, so there is a guy though that I think from what I remember from the podcast series I listened to about him, he is speaking of, I guess, a black guy. I don't know if that's not really a good transition, but Andrew Tate, I think his dad, who apparently was a chess savant.
Yeah.
Or is, I don't know if he's still alive or not, but
that I forgot.
Yeah, his dad is apparently at least in chess circles, a well-known guy who used to play a lot of really competitive chess and be good at it. That has nothing to do with Andrew Tate, who seems to have rejected everything about his father. And then, even though his mother is the one who I guess took care of him, he also rejected her and everything about women and just rejected everything about being a fucking human being.
Right. He's just rejected humanity.
Yeah.
Well, you can be human or you can be a top G. They're mutually exclusive options.
He did change the name of his university. I found out today with this news that it used to be Hustlers University, which maybe he got sued. I wondered when I heard the name of it. It's Hustlers.
Yeah, I wonder if Hustler magazine just slid him as CND. It's just you are not, child.
Well, I mean, in that case, he might be getting one from MTV soon because he changed it to The Real World. Because these people have no fucking originality in their bodies.
They have none. So, okay, so I am not a wealth of knowledge on 90s television shows, but even I know The Real World is a fucking MTV thing.
Yeah. Pretty well-known concept.
To answer Alexander the Badass's question, the answer is Quizlings. Look up Quizling.
Well, black people are human, and they are therefore susceptible to brainwashing and ideology poisoning, just like anyone else.
Right.
So
Misinformation and just like
bribery, corruption, anything, you know.
There's nothing about being black that makes you immune to conservative propaganda.
And it is possible in this way. There's like a sliver of empathy, I guess, maybe that I could apply, but I don't really apply to. But like to be, I can't imagine what it's like to be a person of color and grow up in a country that fucking hates you. You know, like, and I mean, as we realize more and more all the time that there's so many people that do, and just like I can kind of not. I don't think I would do that, but I can kind of see there eventually just maybe it just something breaks inside your brain. You're just like, you know what? I don't even want to be that. I'm going to fucking join the other folks that, you know, even though I am a person of color and I clearly am, you know, like I'm going to reject everything about being a person of color, except for obviously that I am one. And that's where the, you know, the kind of a self-delusion comes in, I guess, that like, I'm going to be the one that they're cool with, you know?
Yeah, if you want an actual an answer that isn't like one of three white people opining on the subject, go just Google or search for people who have for black authors who have written on the subject of black conservatism.
Yeah,
you'll find a lot of really interesting scholarship and commentaries. And
I think
focus
FD
on
Signifier's done a video on it or two as well.
Yeah, FD Signifier I think did a video, and you know, focus on critiques that have been made of like Candace Owens or Thomas Sowell by other black writers and commentators.
But whatever you do, don't do the big mistake that Organized Chaos did and tell a black man to his face like he did with Eric July. Because he will immediately start lying about you. He will fucking rant for 2 fucking hours after you talk to him.
2 fucking years.
He'll start doing dances and showing his belly and stuff, and like it'll be weird, man.
Oh my god.
That's one of the running. It's in the running for biggest Chud meltdown, by the way, in the Shillies and Chuddies next week. 2 separate awards. For anybody that's unclear on that, we got the Shillies for the folks who, you know, make content that that you know who I'm talking about. We're giving ourselves awards here. No,
woo.
That was actually that was something we had to kind of work out. Like, how are we gonna? You know, because I know that I want to give other guys in the initiative awards, you know, but like I don't want it to be like a self masturbatory kind of thing.
Right. Even though that's mostly what award shows are.
It's much better to have it be a mutual masturbatory thing, like the Oscars.
Right.
I mean, I honestly think that ours is going to turn out much less masturbatory than generally any award show. But there is, you know, just the fact that there's a couple of, like, Bob has that debate. And whenever we sit and we line up all of the biggest Chud meltdowns, and like, you know, it's you can't not include that. So what do you do about that kind of thing? And I think we figured it out. But yeah, but we're gonna have lots of guests. Let me do some housekeeping here and point out who I think we have confirmed so far for next week. Chariot, I believe. She's got something going on this weekend that she's gonna then make sure that she's cool with doing this afterward. She thinks so. Anthony Gramuglia will be there, I believe.
Nice.
Pillar of Garbage will be there in some respect. Pop Counterculture will be there.
Nice.
Completely unrelated. What's the name? Young PP is what this guy goes by now. He's going to be there. Apparently, he was sued by the Little PP Society. He says, he was sued by the Little PP Society, but it's not related to that at all. He says so.
All right.
The name change. We just have to believe him on that. And then let's see, Bob of the Old Ways. I think he's going to be there.
Wow, I've heard of that Bob of the Old Ways.
I don't know if he knows that yet, but we've nailed down the start time as being. Let's see.
Oh, I haven't seen the start time yet.
Yeah, I haven't really announced it for sure. The only person I've told it to for sure was Chariot. Let's see, it's going to be. So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central. What is that?
5 Mountain, 4.
That would be 4 p.m. my time. So I'll be getting off work then.
Yes, but I think we're gonna go kind of long. To be honest, we got a whole process to do. So,
all right.
So if you can make it,
put me down.
You're welcome to.
Yeah. It's just an honor to be nominated. That's all.
I may be able to make a whatever the opposite of a special guest appearance is.
The most special guest appearance.
Aw.
An unremarkable absence.
I guess so. I might be there. We'll see.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, and then still waiting on some word from a couple other folks that but it'll be fun. I think Critical Drinker is going to be there.
Is wow. I hope there's no like young boys around that are in punching range.
We're going to try and keep them separated for sure. Pretty big get. Could have Critical Drinker there. And also, as I've learned, Dane Peterson will be there as well.
Wow, is that the store version? The Walmart brand?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
I saw someone comment this is going to be bigger than the Game Awards. Well, I can guarantee at least half of the recipients of awards will probably not have paid for theirs. Something you cannot say about the Game Awards.
I mean, they definitely haven't, because we have not received any payments yet from you guys. Okay, we're still waiting on payments. Hint, hint. For your awards.
Look, you guys can bribe me. I'll put in the good word.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just say to any leftist billionaires who might be watching the stream right now that the Shilly Awards would be the perfect time to give us a windfall of shill bucks.
It would be
to build an alternative network of content creators who are progressive.
Well, I mean, that's the only
heads of young.
The reason we got pop counterculture is because we're getting. I think it's probably going to be now that Trump's back in office, it's going to be our last DEI check. So that's why we're having pop counterculture on, because instead of just having it be a completely white thing, we're like, I guess we'll do that because that's what we get paid for. So we used to get paid for that, and then the checks kind of ran out, and then now they're kind of like scraping the bottom of the fund, and they're sending us what they got left before Trump comes and just co-ops all of it. You know how it is. But Jordan Peterson believes that God is trans. Yeah, I mean, and he's not afraid to say it. He's not afraid to say it either. He's not afraid to say that he believes in God, and that he is a trans Christian. I don't know.
Well, that's one of those things that, like, well, if you try to define maleness by biology, well, we all know God is he. God uses he, him pronouns a whole bunch in those books, but no dick to speak of.
Have y'all seen the clip of Charlie Kirk getting wrecked by a guy who plays the pronoun game with God with him?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh yeah. Was that Charlie Kirk? I thought that was Ben Shapiro.
It was Charlie Kirk. It was the same setting.
It was the same setting, different.
But it was Charlie Kirk who just like stumbled all over himself trying to answer that question.
Well, that's what happens when you fuck around and say stupid shit.
So does God need to remove like the bottom rib to fuck himself?
What does God need with a rib cage?
What does God need with fucking pronouns?
I asked the writers of the Bible. They're very much about his pronouns.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend were watching He-Man, Masters of the Universe, Revelation. It's very good show. And I was just like, man, if Chuds got their way, he would just be man. Like, oh, I love man. I showed Bob this, by the way. I don't know if anybody's realized or cared, but like I did cut my hair recently.
Wow. There is the remains.
A tribble.
I got a tribble on my desk here.
Didn't throw your goddamn tribble.
Well, I mean, it's like the shit was long, dude. It was fucking long and thick. And like every once in a while, I would get it caught. It would just get tangled up in my ponytail thing.
Sure.
My man bun situation. I just got frustrated and was like, you know what? Fuck this. But yeah. Can he sound like Elmo? Why would he?
He's Kermit the Frog.
Is there Game Awards happening? Is that what this is? People are talking about it. Is that a thing going on sometime?
It's like in December.
Oh.
I think it's December. He eats the McRib on Sundays.
Love these comments. Love
okay,
them.
so like the McRib, right? Like people are like, "Oh, why would you eat a McRib? It's gross." I'm like, "Well, that's the point. I don't eat the McRib because it's a good rib sandwich. I eat it because it's a McRib. It's disgusting. I love it."
So I got a new camera. It's supposed to be gesture controlled, but I don't think I've activated that part yet. I should be able to go like this, like, and then this, and then oh my god, it fucking did it!
Oh wow,
holy shit!
The future is
Whoa.
now. Look at you.
I am God.
Wow, I didn't expect God to need glasses.
I think you can zoom in as much as you can. There you go.
There we go.
That's amazing. It's like magic, basically. Cool. Glad you guys got to experience that with me for the first time. It doesn't have a remote. It just has gesture controls. And it's like on a little swivel that pivots. I mean, I think it's supposed to.
Oh, it's following. It's stalking. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, yeah. That's fucking dope. Love it. And it's 4K. So you guys get to see, all this like more clearly.
You can count the beard hairs now. You can really get in there.
And and I've kind of got a breakout going on here, which is like, it doesn't happen often, but great timing, face. All right. So what do we, we're going to talk about fucking Andrew Tate, I guess.
Yeah,
because look, good news, more good news. He got fucking fucked. And I don't mean,
boy bottoms a lot.
Bottom D is what we call him. All right. So this is an exclusive Daily Dot thing. By Mikhail Thalen. So exclusive. Hackers breach Andrew Tate's online university, obtain chat logs, and leak data on 800,000 users.
Okay, why? Like, hi, 800,000 men. You and I. Let's just have a one-on-one. Why? As you are.
Oh yeah, I guess he's feeling a little cocky nowadays, right?
Yeah,
because he didn't completely get smashed by Iron Mike. So,
to be fair, from what I've seen, Jake Paul is not as bad of a boxer as everyone thinks he is, and Andrew Tate is not anywhere near as good of a kickboxer as he sells himself to be.
Right.
So that might actually be an interesting match.
Even whenever he was like, doing okay, he wasn't like the greatest or anything, even though he presents himself as stuff. So.
Well,
right, so
normally to be a good kickboxer, you have to like keep up your workout routine and not jerk yourself off on the internet for a bunch of young men.
Yeah, don't waste all your time like sexually assaulting your sex slaves.
Yeah.
An online course founded by far-right influencer Andrew Tate was breached by hackers, revealing the email addresses of roughly 325,000 users. The self-described online university, known as The Real World, offers users advanced training and mentoring for around $50 per month. That's a fucking that's a skilling.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know that I want to spend $10 this month on a streaming service.
Right.
I don't have $50 to give some fucking Yahoo to tell me how to get laid.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he tells people how to make money too, and it's probably really bad advice in all respects.
Step one: don't give Andrew Tate $50.
Because, I mean, like, is Andrew Tate really going to give people advice for exactly how he makes his money? No.
No, because it's a crime, which is why.
Well, and also that's competition for his money,
True.
Which also, it seems like he has not made as much money as he has lied about in the past.
Right. I'm sure.
So, formerly known as Hustlers University, the platform focuses on topics such as health and fitness, financial investment, and e-commerce businesses. Making money is a skill, or money making is a skill, the website states. We will teach you how to master it. No, you won't. On Thursday, the hackers made their actions known by flooding the course's primary chat room with emojis that they uploaded while Tate was streaming an episode of his show, Emergency Meeting, on Rumble. The emojis included a transgender flag, a feminist fist, an AI-generated image of Tate draped in a rainbow flag, another where his buttocks are enlarged, and the cat character used in the boy kisser meme. This is all very funny. Well, I don't know what the boy kisser thing is about. I guess that's that.
Oh, yeah.
Daily Dot was provided with approximately 794,000 usernames for what are believed to be the site's current and former members, as well as the contents of the platform's 221 public and 395 private chat servers. A list of 324,382 unique email addresses that appear to belong to users who were removed for failure to pay was also handed over. Wait, why were they unable to pay? I thought they were taking a course about how to make a bunch of money. That's weird. That's a lot of people, you know?
Imagine like 500,000 people who bought your make money course didn't learn how to make money so bad they build on your servers without saying anything.
It's true. I mean, you have to know how to do all that.
It could just mean that his advice is so good that once is all it takes, and then you can go off and make your own riches from just that one lesson.
And they just
perhaps
what,
we're
they forgot to, deregister or what?
Well, bailing on the people you owe money to is a time-honored tactic of billionaires.
It gets you elected president now.
You got to model success, you know?
In a statement on the breach, the hackers claim that after accessing the data, they were able to leverage a vulnerability to upload emojis, delete attachments, crash everyone's clients, and temporarily ban people from the platform. The Real World claims it currently has over 113,000 active users. If accurate, the site at minimum would generate upwards of $5,650,000 every month. Analysis of the chat logs by the Daily Dot shows everything from inspirational quotes and progress updates to complaints over the LGBTQ agenda. And then this is pretty fucking funny and tragic here, but like I imagine this is very common. So maybe it's just the MSM. This is a quote from somebody in there. But I'm starting to fear for my own safety in the future of the USA. One user wrote, following the first assassination attempt against President Donald Trump. Shootings every day, LGBTQ agenda, the Matrix. If you don't know what that is, we can go into it in a minute. I live in a very good area with a very good home life, but I'm sick of all this garbage happening here. I live in a very good area with a very good home life, but I'm sick of all this garbage happening here. You haven't experienced any of these things,
right? You experienced. You have no problems in your life.
These people are so fucking privileged. This is a real pandemic we got going on here, epidemic of people who are so fucking privileged that they have to find some way to feel like they're being oppressed.
If they've got a serious case of influenza, just completely disconnected from the real world.
No, they're members of the real world. They pay $50 a month.
Shut up, Bob.
I guarantee that he never felt that before, and probably within 2 days after Trump's ear got hit by a piece of glass, he never thought that again.
Well, I'm sure once they realized it was a Republican who tried to kill a Republican with a weapon that Republicans wear on their lapels in the form of a pin, his opinion on the matter changed.
I would recommend you check out my show that I did last night. I just did kind of impromptu thing that I had an inspiration to do on a stream. It's like a 43-minute stream I did, and it was called "It's Not Your Fault." And it is my attempt to come at this stuff with a little bit more nuance and less, even though I may judge someone to be ultimately a piece of shit, that like I'm still trying to get to a point where I can understand where things might have gone wrong for people. You know what I mean? And ultimately, apply some empathy, or sympathy at least. Not sympathy really, but empathy for people that have, because I've been alienated, I've felt, outcast and stuff, and I've made stupid choices based on that. I have. Just those stupid choices weren't like following Andrew Tate.
They're right.
And, I don't know that if when I was much younger and I was in those positions, if he'd been there, if that had been a thing, maybe, I don't know. I fucking like to think not, but I can't really know for sure,
Yeah. I have some sympathy for them, but I have no more patience for the so-called plight of male loneliness. I'm tired of it.
I mean, as I always say, at the end of the day, Old Yeller rules, man.
I feel bad for you, but
I feel bad for Old Yeller, but look, he's got to fucking go.
I mean, no. What I mean is like all you lonely young males who voted for Trump, y'all fucked up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all ain't getting any pussy for like 10 years.
No, and you've earned it.
You fucked up.
You made your bed. You shat in your bed.
It's not your fault because I know you were 12 or 13 or 11 when you first started listening to this crap. But
yeah,
it is your responsibility, as Dane said in his video.
Yeah.
It's not your fault, but it is your fucking responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think one thing we need to stop doing is indulging the idea that there's an epidemic of male loneliness. There's an epidemic of human loneliness.
Well, what was that video? Was it you posted it today? I haven't watched it, but the title of it was pretty intriguing. It was like the epidemic of male loneliness that was created by men or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
the men who got us here. And Andrew Tate is one of the men who created the epidemic of male loneliness.
Well, yeah.
Because his income relies on his audience being perpetually alienated from women. He's not going to give them any advice to get them out of that.
They kind of speak to all this stuff here in a bit, but
not only that, it alienates them from other men. Other men are competition. Other men are the wrong type of men. Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson, they don't just make you hate women, they make you hate being a man.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be the right type of man to appease these people who are telling you how to be the right type of man, but it always shifts on you.
Yeah. And the demand that male experience be centered in the loneliness conversation is itself a symptom of the loneliness epidemic, because it's an entitlement. It's a worm of entitlement that weaved its way into your brain through patriarchy to tell you that men must always be the center of everything. And if you're not, you're being deprived.
And if you're a man listening to this, hi, welcome. And if you feel lonely, hi, I'm sorry. There are like real world meat space communities that do things that would be happy to have you and happy to.
They're part of the Matrix, Morgan.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the problem is that a lot of those places, what we used to call third places, have been so like micro commodified.
Yeah.
They used to be free.
Right.
And now all of this stuff costs money now, and none of us have any fucking money.
Right.
Well, I would say that like I'm going to continue the series that I started last night. It's I'm not sure how often I'll do it, but like one of the things that I do plan to get into is masculinity and like my experience with it and things like that. And it's I'm going to be diving into stuff that I've not really cared much to dive into, because to me it's such a non-issue, someone's level of masculinity or whatever, that like it's like, what the fuck do I have to say about it? But I mean, I guess I do need to have some things to say about it in regards to how, instead of just being dismissive of someone who cares about that kind of thing, maybe I do need to extend some kind of, like I understand the compulsion to a degree to feel like you are masculine. You know what I mean? Even though it's not something that I've worried about in a long time and barely did back then,
I've never worried about it. And I think part of the problem from my perspective is that worrying about whether masculinity and femininity actually exist.
It's the most beta cuck shit you can do, man.
Is the problem. The entire concept is the problem.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
You let that shit go, you own who you are and what masculinity and femininity mean to you, and it takes you places, and they're good places.
Just get rid of the concepts of masculinity and femininity altogether. Abolish gender.
Well, I mean, one thing that I guess I plan on doing is just like, talk about things that actually make me uncomfortable to talk about, but like are things that I think that are maybe people would be surprised to know, about like, the rate at which I used to get laid. You know what I mean? Pretty high, be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like not something that I really fucking prioritized either.
And bragging about his body count on here.
Yeah,
that's what I don't like that shit, man. I don't. But here, it's kind of part of the thing. Is like, I wasn't worried about it. What I was focused on was becoming a good musician and going up on stage and playing. Look, that shit gets you laid. You know what I mean? But like, if you're not focused on fucking getting laid, and you're just focused on being good at a skill or being yourself and expressing yourself in a way that unafraid and you know, just being be a badass in whatever you're doing. That's, you know, but have something to offer, and also don't be a shithead to people.
Right.
And
speaking as a fellow Tomcat, I would say that being good at something, being genuinely interested in women's experiences, being able to listen to them without trying to fix what they're saying, and being safe will get you way more poontang than anything Andrew Tate teaches you about, or the rest of the manosphere. That's it. And that's all you got to do. Be a good person who isn't violent, and you demonstrate that you're safe by showing up for the women in your life and defending them even when they're not around. That, and word will get around that you're one of the good ones. You don't even have to like advertise it.
I mean, I may, but I also may not. I think is more really accurate.
I think Shay Diversity wants to look like you, not the other way around.
I think that RL Morello
Shay Diversity
maybe just sees a pasty dude with blue eyes and goes, "Oh, that's Shay Diversity." You know?
Shay Diversity wishes.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Yeah. Although I will say
a little bit of that drawl. Shay wishes he had a drawl.
He's got his cringe fucking you know, jacket he wears. I got me one too. Got me a Wolverine hoodie. Yeah.
Okay, but
start wearing that.
That's cooler. You get why that's cooler, right?
I got
hold on. Let me. I have to interject here.
Boy now.
The jacket that Shay Diversity wears is called a gambesson. It is a very respectable piece of attire that needs to be reclaimed.
I don't
goofballs like him.
I've seen what he wears. It doesn't look like any gambesson I've seen in real life. I think it's a hoodie made to look like one.
I think that's what it is.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree too. So we need to take it back.
One. He's got a cosplay one.
Right. The left needs to take back studying the blade.
Absolutely. Fuck yeah, they do.
Yeah, dude, you said that. Use that phrase in Discord the other day, and I was like, I'm sure that because you said you studied the blade, and I'm like, I know he means it, but I couldn't help but laugh because that's become such a fucking dumb meme.
That's why I used it that way. I keep that in my back pocket as for conversations of say something about yourself that is both incel and true.
I know a few things about blades too, you know.
Yeah.
I also know a few things about the Blade films. I've seen the Blade films.
The Blade? So you have studied the Blade movies.
Mm-hmm. Especially the second one. Guillermo del Toro is fucking excellent. Anyway,
brilliant movie.
All right. So let's finish this off because this is a fun part. It's all information that's been known, but it's fun to read again anyway. Let's see. He's a blah blah blah. I don't care how he describes himself. Oh, he describes himself as a misogynist, so he's right. And he's known for his disparaging views towards women. Blah, blah, blah. In total, he's facing 5 legal investigations stemming from Romania and the UK. Other allegations include those involving rape and sex trafficking of minors, as well as forming an organized crime group to sexually exploit women. He's denied these charges, despite evidence. So I'll be right back, guys.
Uh-oh. Sounds like the food is there, and I think I'm alone. Does it fall to me? Oh, the weight of the world is on me. Okay. Mark Merck. Guillermo del Toro is the greatest filmmaker of all time, and I can't wait for his Frankenstein. I agree. Although if I understand correctly, it's going to be The Bride of Frankenstein. And Frankenstein's monster is not the main character. Somebody's back. Or not. Okay.
I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, Dane went to, I guess he went to pick up food.
Ah, sure.
Or the food he was waiting on arrived.
Aha.
That is correct.
Oh, there we go.
He's gone again.
Low-key says, I'm surprised Trump hasn't nominated Tate to be in his cabinet. I don't think Tate is an American. Okay, I don't know.
Was.
He has a dual citizenship. It actually says that here. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would explain his weird accent then. It's like, because he sounds like an American trying to talk like a Brit to me.
This is what he is.
And doing it badly.
Uh-huh.
Shad is losing his mind over a black girl playing as a girl Viking.
Good for him.
So I'm going to play for right now.
He's always losing his mind.
Switch over to playing some videos so that I can eat a little bit.
Sure.
We can watch some stuff. That's okay.
Okay.
I'm not freaking eating today, really.
You should eat.
I've snacked. That's about it.
Sustain
all right.
yourself.
Did we have a video you wanted to react to? We could watch that while you're eating, and then
But first I'm going to do this one.
My friends and I got arrested for vandalizing a graveyard. $10,000 in damages. But we had a great lawyer who knocked it down to criminal trespassing and necrophilia. Depressed woman. My mom was so depressed. She had the words, "In case of an accident, please do not resuscitate," tattooed across all of her children. Called "Is This a 16-Year-Old Girl's Pinterest or Dane Cook's Instagram?" Let's look at this first one. Be a warrior, not a worrier. Is this a 16-year-old girl's Pinterest or Dane Cook's Instagram?
I would say that's a 16-year-old's Pinterest.
Let's see. It's the Dane man. Let's look at number 2. Do you think this is an actual quote, or do you think someone thought of this and then decided to put quotes around it because they thought it seemed like it was more important?
This definitely feels like a 15-year-old in love.
Let's see. Cook. We got one more. This last one could be a curveball. I want to be the reason you slightly tilt your phone away from others when you read it. 16-year-old girl or Dane Cook?
I feel like I'm going to hack the game because I think these might all be Dane Cook's Instagram. So I'm going to say Dane Cook's Instagram.
Did she hack the game? She Daned the game.
He's fucking hilarious, man. Like everything I see about him is just great.
Yeah, that's fire.
And we'll come back to him a little bit later because I got some clips from his podcast. But this is one that we started to watch on the Shillcast the other day, and then we, just kind of got busy talking about other stuff. It was more in the moment, I guess. But
that someone is going out and voting for Donald Trump after listening to one podcast from Aiden Ross is just completely wrong.
It's still Trump 2024. I'm going to stand by it. I'm voting Trump 2024, and that's it. And I promise you I am. All right? 2024 Trump. He's an American hero.
Since Donald Trump won the election last week, Democrats and the media have been in panic mode. Much of this panic is centered around a powerful online subculture loosely known as the manosphere. The manosphere consists of a vast network of influencers, podcasters, and streamers that speak to young men in a way traditional media has failed to.
All right, boys, we have a crazy milk video.
Influencers like Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Aiden Ross, or Andrew Schultz, once seen as fringe personalities or mere entertainers, have evolved into major political players. Now, Democrats are left scrambling, trying to understand this world and questioning whether the manosphere can be countered or even co-opted. Can they win young men on the internet back in a way that doesn't radicalize them further? Is it even possible to create a Joe Rogan for the left? To help break all this down, I brought in Josh Satirical. Josh is a researcher who has been studying the radicalization of young men online for over a decade. He is the host of the Doom Scroll podcast that covers culture and politics in the 21st century. Hi, Josh. Welcome to Power User.
Hey, Taylor. Good to see you.
I know you've been talking to radicalized men online for almost a decade now. Tell me what you've done in this space.
I've interviewed young people who post radical memes online for the past few years. I've written 2 books about this. I've done a series of audio interviews. I've done a variety of museum programming in both the States and in Europe. So I've spent the last few years just completely immersed in political subcultures, primarily talking to young people who get politicized online.
I know every time I talk to you, you are in some deep discussion with communities of, fascist 15-year-olds on the internet.
It literally, it's not a joke, actually. Yeah, I spend a lot of time doing that.
Can you describe to me what the manosphere actually means?
The manosphere refers to a large variety of channels, primarily male influencers who are giving advice about how to date women, how to exercise, business advice, starting your small business, opening up a drop shipping scam, stuff like this. It's a very large culture. It encompasses a lot of different perspectives, some of them extremely conservative, misogynistic, too big of a space to really summarize all together.
Yeah, there's a lot of I feel like cast of characters around here. We've got Andrew Tate. He's sort of the perennial male lifestyle influencer, of course, accused of sex trafficking. He's super misogynistic. But then it also trickles down to people like the Nelk Boys, right? Who are prank YouTubers. And then you've got the comedy world that I think is sort of adjacent to this, the Joe Rogans, the Theo Vaughns, and some of these other people, right? Even someone like Shane Gillis, who's a pretty mainstream comedian, I would say is sort of adjacent to the broader manosphere.
Yeah, this is part of the problem with the term manosphere, because a few years ago that meant people who were part of the capital A, capital R alt-right, people who had really reprehensible worldviews. But now it kind of extends to the soft cultural stuff, including the Nelk Boys and comedians and stuff like this. I would say that we're kind of watching a shift into something that the writer Max Reed has described as the Zinternet, which is just a subculture of young men who are interested in sports and betting and light beer and those Zyn nicotine pouches. And they really like comedy stuff. It's just men's interest and is not particularly advancing a clear, explicit ideology, just kind of general common sense conservatism. So there's a real gradation from stuff that is within the Overton window, regular politics, and then stuff that is extreme. And part of the problem is that we're using the single term manosphere to refer to all of those communities, which are very different from each other.
So, yeah. What's funny is that she immediately goes, okay, so about the manosphere. And so made me wonder if actually this is kind of a not actually live discussion that they had. And maybe it was just, she sent him the video of her asking questions and he responded.
Maybe.
Or she's just...
There was an editing cut there, but I don't know.
Nonetheless,
I've watched the whole thing. It looks to me like they had a live conversation, but then it was edited for time and clarity.
Okay. Sure. Right. I mean, you know. Yep.
Right. Now, I was going to remark on that too, how he used the phrase common sense conservatism, which in my opinion is not a thing, but it is the framing of conservatism as common sense.
Right.
That is the thread running through all that content, where they don't talk about well, I'm sure some of them do openly say they're conservatives, but a lot of what I've seen takes conservative talking points and just says them as though everyone agrees on them and doesn't identify it as a political opinion at all.
Right.
And the community just all accepts and pretends that this is just what everyone thinks. And if you think otherwise, you're weird.
Right. Well, I think this goes to that thing we've talked about here before. Well, here before is that you have there are two races, white and political, two genders, man and political. I think this is the egg that gives birth to that.
Yeah. And also, I think we should point out that there used to be a left-wing Joe Rogan, and his name was Joe Rogan.
Right.
And it's the more important question is, how did Joe Rogan become the Joe Rogan he is now? Because in many ways he was brainwashed into this like the rest of these guys were.
Right.
He started out as like a Bernie bro.
Couple of comments I wanted to. So okay, this one from this guy. I will say this: there was a period several years ago when, Theo Vaughn, I don't think the problem is Theo Vaughn in general. It's the stuff that he has over time chosen to start talking about. Theo Vaughn is a funny guy. He used to be fucking funny and not talk about the shit that, apparently he's talking about now and have Trump on and whatnot. There was a period whenever I wasn't watching Joe Rogan anymore, but Theo Vaughn would have entertaining guests. He just has he has funny delivery. I wasn't quite sure if he was stupid or if that was part of his shtick, but now I'm starting to lean one way about that. But yeah, I don't think Theo Vaughn is really just as dismissible as Aiden Ross. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, he's definitely a problem because he's gotten fucking huge now, and he's doing stuff like having Trump and whatnot on there. But Yeah, his problem is a lot like Joe Rogan now, is that he just kind of plays softball with shit that he doesn't understand. You know, and people that he doesn't understand are actually deceptive and harmful. That's, yeah. And then also, maybe it would be easier, but what do you mean by, what is, you know, a fight for the working class? I hate to say, Mikey, that's a very it doesn't mean anything. Like, I mean, it doesn't mean anything in terms of like, okay, let's do that instead of this. Because at least trying to decode the politics of Joe Rogan and Theo Von is a specific thing to a degree.
And also the politics of Joe Rogan and Theo Von are to a very large extent the politics of the working class.
Right.
In the United States, at least the
know
white
your enemy.
working class.
Well,
and if we don't understand, if we don't decode those politics, we'll never figure out how to fight for the working class in a united way. Because the problem is that the working class is not just white people. It's not just the white working class. It's a multiracial, multicultural working class. But the white section of that has been radicalized
against the rest of it.
Against the rest of it. And
also, what's easy is not always what's best. Just to start out with.
Lastly, if this election has shown anything, people's politics have a lot more to do with vibes than policy. Because Trump didn't talk the politics of the working class. Trump talked vibes.
Right. And that's the thing that a lot of people overlook about this content stream as well, this content culture as well, is that these are not podcasts where guys are sitting around talking about politics for 3 hours.
Right.
They're talking about UFOs and cryptids and video games and weed and girls. And every so often they'll slip in some politics. And like every couple of months, they'll have an explicitly political guest who's always a conservative. But even that person doesn't talk very much politics. They just have a conservative come on and talk about all the other shit.
It's like this. Politics are hard. They're fucking hard, even if you're very interested in them. They're fucking hard. If you're not interested in them at all, you're just gonna fucking try to avoid them at all costs. However, the fucking flip side of that is that politics kind of touch on everything. And so if you aren't aware of that very basic fact, it's going to be kind of easy to get you to think about politics in a very specific and simplistic way. And because you don't realize that you're actually thinking about politics or talking about politics.
Yeah. Yeah. This is content that's designed to work to saturate the minds of people who don't pay attention to politics.
Right.
The people who vote on vibes. There are people who show up on election day, if they bother showing up at all. There are people who show up on election day and do not decide who they're going to vote for until they step into the voting booth and look at their phone and see which person has the funniest memes about them. Those people exist. And it's frightening, but a lot of them exist. And this is content that is designed around memes. And the far right calls it meme magic.
Right.
They're doing this consciously, and they're consciously radicalizing people who don't pay attention to politics and therefore consider themselves apolitical, and they absorb political opinions that they think are apolitical opinions because they're now, if I take on the opinion, I'm apolitical, therefore this position is apolitical.
Right.
My concern, Mikey, is that they won't even give a fuck enough to do that. You know, like that they're just going to keep doing the same thing, basically. Or that, you know, I mean, yeah, that's a potential problem, but there's a lot of potential problems with essentially the Democrat Party needs to be completely reworked as far as from, you know, and it's probably not going to happen, but I mean, like, they need to fucking defer to leaders like AOC and, you know, and well, sadly Bernie's on his way out, you know what I mean? But like, honor that guy by just like organizing the party around his ideas, for fuck's sake.
Right. Or even someone like Gretchen Whitmer or Tim Walz, who are much more progressive and very effective at it. Like, you look at how popular Tim Walz when he was nominated, but once they sidelined him and put more focus on putting these anti-Trump Republicans on stage, the momentum of the campaign died out.
Yeah, every anti-Trump Republican in the United States was on stage with Kamala Harris.
Right.
There are no more.
Yeah.
And also, a non-zero number of them still voted for Trump.
Yep.
At the end of the day, there are a lot of Republicans who have to work with people and don't want to feel ostracized. So they will do this thing. It's an ancient technique we call lie.
Yeah, it works for them really well. So we were having a conversation the other day, actually, about all of this in our community server, and I wish there was a way to convey just this conversation that we had. I know that Bob was in there. I think Morgan maybe was there or some. But oh man, that was really fucking good. Do you know what I'm talking about, Bob?
No, I don't.
It was
remember.
like, I'm trying to find it in the server right now. It was.
There's a lot of conversations in there. It's hard.
This was on the 19th, and it was. I think this was it.
I think I was.
I'm sorry, the 18th. It was 18th, and it started with essentially just trying to talking about the same topic. Where you said studying the blade and everything that day.
Mm-hmm.
And,
where we were talking about how to message. Yeah, how to message to young men and that.
Because it was literally whenever I posted this video that we were just watching in there, and I said, yeah, it was guys worth listening to, and then we kind of got into talking about Vosh a bit. Because Sketchy Got Hands said, a left-wing Joe Rogan is just Vosh. Or somebody said we need a left-wing Jordan Peterson or something, and he said that's or a BIPOC Jordan Peterson. Reggie said that's just Vosh. I was like, Vosh would need to be wrong about 85% more and black.
Right.
And also, no, I mean Vosh is so the problem with Vosh from this perspective. There's many problems with Vosh.
Well, I was going to say we don't have all night.
in this context, the problem is he's too political.
Right.
Right. You have to pay attention to Vosh in order to get what he's doing. He's not someone you can just run in the background while you're playing a video game.
But I mean, doesn't that strike at the heart of the fucking problem though? Because
yes,
there
it
are people
does.
that don't want to engage. They just want to passively be told things.
Well, it's the power of the liar, right? Is that evolutionarily lies will evolve into their most brain-grabbing form because they don't have to do anything but that. Where if you want the truth to be interesting and sellable, it does not contort itself into those vessels as easily.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's human brains have a cognitive bias.
Yes.
For the first thing they have heard about a subject.
Yep.
Even if it's wrong, their brain will default to thinking that is the correct explanation. There's been studies done.
The problem of thinking that your opinions are facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's been studies done, cognitive psychology studies done, where a group of experimental subjects are explicitly told by the researchers the material and the documentaries you are about to watch are 100% false. And then they'll let them watch the entire documentary or whatever it is. And then a few days later, they will present them, they'll give them the correct information. And a majority of the people will resist the correct information, even though they've been told the original information was wrong, because their brain formed neural pathways around that first kernel of information.
I want to scroll through here a bit. Scroll through this conversation and just kind of convey a few of the ideas that we discussed, because it's like I thought it was pretty great. So it was the people involved were Bob of the Old Ways, myself, Sketchy Got Hands, comedian Dean Page, who has you can buy some Jake Sunrise comics.
Yeah.
So and I'll make sure to say who's saying what here. And I'm gonna probably boil some things down. But so let's see. I had quoted the video where it said, there's almost no content for men, self-help stuff that doesn't carry implicit political positions. I mean, almost no. I'd say there's probably none,
Yeah.
And then Bobby said, this is something I noticed years ago. It creates an association in people's minds between the self-help stuff, which tends to be boilerplate, even from Jordan Peterson.
Oh yeah.
And the political position. So they think they have one. So that they think they have one, they must have the other. Worse, that there is no distinction between one and the other. Yeah. And then comedian, kind of nails it. He says, get rich, fuck mad bitches, and get strong for selfish reasons is sort of a conservative ideology. And then we talk about Bosch a little bit, exactly what you just said. You said here. And then Bobby said, you said the comedian, that's not the self-help part, though. And he said, isn't it? That's what a lot of young guys want, money and muscle so they can get ladies. And I said, the instructions for self-help aren't always explicitly about the goal, but the means. You dress this way, you groom this way because you want to get X. You speak this way, carry yourself. Don't listen to the woke mob because you want Y. They want you to be demure and apologetic, but to get bitches in cash, you have to be an alpha and all the shit that comes along with that. Right? So like if you're somebody like an average guy wants money, everybody needs money.
Everybody needs money, right?
But if you're a young guy, it is completely understandable and not even a bad thing to just be like, man, I gotta fucking get paid. I start getting my fucking stacks up, whatever the fuck language they're using, and rail some hoes as long as you're doing it respectfully and consensually and being protected and stuff. Then great, just rail some hoes. Don't call them hoes though, maybe. Sorry, but like that's all understandable and like okay, but then the problem comes in whenever it's like the means with which you get to where you can do that, freely and at your own whim, is that you have to charge ahead and not consider the perspectives or concerns or anything of anybody else, and they're going to try and make you think about their concerns and their perspectives, and you just have to say fuck that. That's where it crosses over into the political, right there. Because then you're saying, oh, fuck your trans feelings, fuck your, non-binary, fuck your, gay stuff. And, I don't care about any of that. I'm trying to get, and so it's like, it doesn't even necessarily come from a place of hate originally. You know what I mean?
Even before you get to hating minority groups, hate your friends. Because what do you do with friends? Are you going out and fucking people? Are you making money with your friends? No, you're hanging out, you're having a good time, you're relaxing, you're enjoying life. The first victim of adopting this mentality is the people in your life that are already your friends. And often the most effective group of people in someone's life at redirecting them away from this is their friend group, who's like, whoa, what the fuck is wrong with you? And who can drag them off of that.
So let's imagine a test case here of a young man named I was going to say Bilbo. Let's say Dildo. Young name. He goes by Dill because obviously he's got an embarrassing name. But he's got a pretty cool friend group. He's got, generally he's a white guy, young white guy, but he's got a friend group there's a few just, straight cis white guys. But then he's got a friend that's also, more recently been, kind of expressing themselves as non-binary, and it's like, whatever, they've been friends a long time. Who fucking cares?
Right.
And then there's the black friend too, because why not? That happens. Yeah. And but so as Dill starts to get into this content, he's not a hateful person because he's been hanging out with these people. He's been accepting, of the black friend, no problem. Maybe even the black friend lets him say the N-word sometimes. I don't know. I had a black friend that told us we could say that is the reason I fucking said that. And I was always like, nah, I don't think I'm going to. Anyway.
Which means you passed the test.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I guess.
Eventually, he got there.
But then as he's getting into this content, he's getting into this mindset, and he's like, man, I don't have any college prospects. I don't have, I need to make money. My dad's getting on my ass because I need to fucking make money and get out on my own and stuff. Okay. Very common. But then as he gets deeper and deeper into this stuff, and he starts learning about, like, you can't fucking care about other people generally if you're trying to focus on your shit, get your stacks and whatnot. And then maybe the one time he hangs out with his friend group again, and he's like, man, I was trying to fucking talk to some bitch, and she fucking shot me down because I said something about, I said that T slur, I guess, or you know what I mean? I don't want to actually say it, but
right.
I said this word. It's like, it's not a big deal. And the non-binary friend's like, well, it's kind of a fucked up word to say. He's like, oh, what? So now you're part of the woke mob too?
Right.
You fucking... And it's like, in his mind, this friend is the one that has changed.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's him. You know? Like,
yeah. This self-help advice becomes political the moment that it deviates, or the moment that it starts telling you that self-help and community help are different things.
Right.
When
and then,
they're
and also
intrinsically
they're talking
intertwined with one another.
You know, they want me to this bullshit with the NFL and this dude taking a knee because black people are getting shot or something. White people get shot too, you know. And the black friend's like, well, hold on, dude. Like, I got a cousin that got fucking shot, and you know, do you have a cousin that's been shot? Because I know a couple of people that from my family, you know, extended family or whatever, that's been shot, and like, well, you know, what were they doing? You know, they're probably doing something where, you know, and it's just because they've already been fed that kind of perspective, or I guess fucking, you know, mentality, that quote unquote logic for that type of thing. And it's just they're already off the fucking track, and they're on this track of bullshit that's gonna lead to bigotry. I mean, it's already bigotry right there, but it's gonna lead to actual hatred if it goes on long enough.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So like all the hand wringing over how that the Democrats are doing right now about how to counteract this and how do we create a left-wing Joe Rogan and all that other shit ignores here's what the Democrats are overlooking: billionaire dark money.
Boom.
That's what caused all of this. It wasn't an incredibly persuasive argument. It wasn't that politics is downstream of culture. It wasn't any of that. It was rich people decided to change the material conditions of the working class, and material conditions includes like the content they're exposed to, the infrastructure that delivers that content, all of that. That's all decided ahead of time. It doesn't arise spontaneously. And the problem for the Democrats is we don't have enough billionaires to do that for the left, because that doing that for the left would inherently undermine the material interest of the billionaires.
Well, I mean, we don't have anyone to do it for the left, as far as like billionaires willing to, but also we don't have the impetus to do that because we don't want to do things dishonestly. We don't want to fuck people over to get ahead. You know, we want everyone to win. That's kind of our fucking problem in a way. It's like we want everybody to fucking get theirs. We literally do. And that's all this money is spent on the other side trying to convince a lot of people, and it works, that actually, no, they're just trying to give it to the minorities. They're just trying to get, it's like, no, man, there's no fucking, you know, I mean, yes, there's very small little fucking idiots on the internet, like little groups of, I don't know, black separatists or whatever the fuck, or I don't know, black Nazis. I don't know what they're called, but you know, yeah, they don't want to, they only want it for themselves or something, but those people are so few and far between, they don't fucking matter.
Right.
Generally, the leftist position is that if we achieve our goals as a united working class, everybody benefits. Everybody. You know, and then of course you get into like the concept of equity and how these chuds don't seem to understand. I'm trying not to use chuds as much. They don't seem to understand that. They, you know, I literally had somebody in my comments not long ago saying, we know, and he said something about equity because I'd said something in a video, and he goes, yeah, well, blah, blah, equity. I was like, do you even know what equity is? And he said, yeah, and he describes it perfectly. He literally almost could be a dictionary definition of it, but at the end of it, he says, and it's making sure that people have that outcome. And it's like, no, that outcome is where you're fucked up. It's not about an outcome. It's about a means to have an attempt at trying. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not
about the outcome. It's not about the outcome. It's about the starting place.
Right.
Equality of outcome is the necessary condition for equality of opportunity. If we're not all starting on a level playing field, there can never be equality of opportunity. So equity comes first.
You know, and I mean, chuds is permissible. I'm not saying that nobody can say that. I'm saying for myself, it limits my analysis to some degree, and I'm trying to go a little bit deeper lately. So yeah, I'm not saying anybody that shouldn't say it. Well, hopefully I didn't go off too much on tangent there.
Nah, I think it was on topic. And I think to sort of touch on the, you know, what are Democrats going to do? Right now, what they're doing as a party is stabbing as many people in the back as they can.
Yeah. The party is splintering. The party is splintering, I think.
I think so too.
Well, here's how we can take a little bit of heart, potentially. To think that the party is splintering might be an alarming, like, oh no, we're fucked forever. No, we're fucked for 4 years for sure. But think of how recently the fucking Republican Party was splintered. And that's not to say that the Democrats will do the same thing, because they're not as desperate to just win at all costs or any cost.
When were they actually splintered?
Huh?
When were they actually splintered?
Who?
The Republicans.
I mean, they were at least, so maybe as far back as maybe the Tea Party, right? The Tea Party was a disruptive force that came in and changed things. They didn't end up being the predominant thing, but they made the way for what came
to the ground. Yeah, sure.
So maybe that's what happens, but in a good way for Democrats. I don't know.
A decade, over a decade.
It could be. And that sucks. Obviously, there's no way that this is not going to harm lots and lots of people. And of course, it's going to be the most vulnerable people, because that's just what Republicans are.
I want to talk to Jay in chat.
Yeah,
we got to talk to Jay in chat here. Can you pull up his?
Okay. Yeah,
I got some
real quick before
questions.
you do that. I want to say one tiny thing before you get, and then I'll let you go, Morgan. Okay. Anyone wanting just a nugget of hope, and by comparison to the past, look up the electoral map from the 1984 election, Reagan versus Mondale.
Yeah.
Look at that map and then realize that 8 years later, Obama was president. Okay, go, Morgan.
8 years later, Clinton was president.
Clinton was president, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow, that was skip over.
Yeah,
and then I actually have 2 starred comments that I want to address very, very fast, and then I'll you. The Dems will probably bring out somebody like Gavin Newsom to challenge Trump. Honestly, we could do worse.
No, we can't.
I mean, he's a corporate fucking dipshit. Like he's but I mean, he fights. He doesn't fucking put up with bullshit when he's confronted with it.
Yeah, he's a shit talker.
What I mean is bullshit from the right, generally, and not necessarily bullshit as far as like he's pro bullshit that is harmful to everybody in the working class and everything. Yes, but he's not a leftist by any stretch. But like. I mean, he's not. I don't know. We can talk about that another time. Maybe I'm not as up on my Newsom knowledge as I need to be. But
I think Bob is probably the Newsom expert.
Left wing Jordan Peterson, maybe renegade science teacher Florence Valkai, who I mentioned earlier, frequently seen on the Line Edge here on YouTube. In the sense that he is this very smart guy and he fucking fights for what's right and whatnot. I would recommend. I don't know if he's got his own channel. I haven't gone to find that yet. He must, I'm sure. But like, I thought he was on the Atheist Experience, not the Line Edge. But I get those confused. They're basically the same thing now.
Fair.
Because I'll see old clips that had Dillahunty on them, because he's not on Atheist Experience anymore.
No.
But I'll still see old clips with him there, and it just like keeps my fucking brain confused. But yeah, that dude's pretty good. Maybe I could reach out to him and somebody like him, and we can maybe get a guest like that. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
All right, and then this motherfucker right here.
All right. So I want to ask you a question, Jay. And this, if you are not comfortable with answering a person on a stream's questions, you can tell me to get bent, weirdo, and I will let you go. Why did you vote? Like, what policy reason, what vibe reason did you vote for Jill Stein? Like, what's the number one? I just need the one. The first reason you voted for Jill Stein, and I'll tell you why you were wrong.
Boom, boom. Perhaps Jay left.
All right. Well, Jay, if you feel comfortable answering that question, if you're typing right now, you don't see it. We'll answer it when you get to it. If not, all good, bro. Oh, anti-genocide.
There we go.
Palestine. Perfect. Excellent. She is on the record as being pro-Israeli Defense Force and pro the existence of the apartheid state controlled by Israel. So she is not, or was not, a pro-genocide candidate. She was a pro-status quo candidate. Sorry.
You mean she wasn't an anti-genocide candidate?
Right. She wasn't an anti-genocide candidate.
Right. I mean, here's the harsh reality. There was no electoral choice available to Americans that was going to stop the genocide in Palestine. Zero.
Right. None.
Not a single candidate, not one of them on the ballot would have done a damn thing to stop it. Period. Because all of them would be, just by assuming the office, would be already have been corrupted by capitalism. And the situation in Israel has been going on for 70 years.
Right. The other
that's
thing
that's only going to change when conditions on the ground change in the United States
and
through a
in
generational
Israel.
change.
And we can't leave Israel. I think there's an amount of American hubris involved here on both sides of this discussion, all sides of this discussion, because it's not just pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. There's a lot of other factions involved in this discussion. But there is a huge degree of American hubris that Israel isn't going to stop because we tell them to. If we stop selling them weapons, they will buy them from someone else, because we are not
South Africa. Yeah, they'll buy them from South Africa.
Saudi Arabia will happily sell them because Trump negotiated a treaty between Saudi Arabia and Israel not that long ago. China would sell them weapons. Russia might not, just because they're using theirs at the moment in a genocide, in an attempt at wiping out the population of Ukraine that Jill Stein is also okay with. So you, as an American, even if your candidate was as anti-genocide as they could possibly be and had the power to make that happen, it still wouldn't stop it. You have an imperialist mindset as an American. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I want to address what Jay said here too. Jay said actions speak louder than words. I could never.
What fucking actions has Jill Stein done?
Yeah.
Right. Well, let me explain what I think is the mistake in the thinking here. You're thinking, or this statement implies that you think that voting is about you expressing your personal feelings about a candidate, and that's not what the function of voting is for. Voting is a chess move. It's about moving the levers of power ever slightly closer to the outcome that you want. Your vote has no effect on the mindset of the people at the top. It's about building a coalition. And you're not writing a letter. You're not expressing your love or your loyalty to a candidate. You are making a tactical decision about how to move the needle. And you're exactly right. Stein has no power, which is why that was a wasted vote.
And I'll say this as the owner of the channel. If you could never bring yourself to vote for the Dems at all, you're not going to find very much welcome here. I mean, you're welcome to be here, but you will hear things that are hostile to probably ideas that you hold. And I'm not going to apologize for them. I'm not going to fucking, make, like, oh, well, except for you, of course. None of that. No, you are the exact kind of person that should not be voting, in my opinion. You should not be engaging with politics at all, because you're doing it in such a fucking simplistic and just like, as Bob just described, selfish, self-absorbed, kind of emotion-based way that, in my opinion, you'd be better off if you just went and played with fucking Legos or something.
So you say Stein has no power. That's not true. You gave them power over you. You ceded power to them with your vote by coming here and telling us that that's who you voted for. You gave her that power. And my advice to you is, because I agree, actions in fact do speak louder than words. So here's what I want you to do as an action. It is not a complicated action. Right now, there is a bill before the House, and it will likely end up before the Senate, that gives the president the authority to determine whether or not 501c3 charities can continue to be tax exempt. The bill has very little in the way of oversight. So what action you can do right now is you can go on your computer and you can look up the phone number for your U.S. congressperson and your U.S. senator, and you can call them and you can say, hey, I live in your district, I live in your state. I want you, my representative, my senator, to vote against this bill that gives the president authority over nonprofits.
Yeah.
That is an action you can do that mathematically will have more power than not just your vote for Jill Stein, but my vote for Kamala Harris. For all combined, all three of our votes for Kamala Harris mathematically are less powerful than you making that phone call.
What was I missed the response, the first response to your question, Morgan, about like what was the issue that he was voting on? Did he say?
Oh, so
it was the genocide in Palestine.
Yeah, he voted on the genocide in Palestine.
Well, that's really stupid. And okay, let me go ahead and just do this one here. Hilarious, man. That's hilarious. So point to me where the fascist ideology is. I really wish you wouldn't vote and instead you'd go play with Legos. Which fascists has said that? Which fascists have tried to enforce that? Because it's not actually enforcement. That's just an opinion. It's my opinion. Which you saying that is actually technically more, even though it's not a fascist thing, it's more closer to it on some spectrum than what I said, because you're actually saying that I'm not allowed to express my fucking opinion that is partly meant to be comedic, but also harmless. And I'm not saying that I'm going to fucking go campaign against your right to vote. I'm not saying that I think there should be IQ tests for voting, which would be the thing that would be implemented for you in order to not vote, I think. I'm not doing that. I don't believe in that. I think that you do have the right to vote. You do. And I'm glad you do. I just wish you fucking wouldn't. That's just a wish, to say that's exactly what a fascist would say reveals that you have no fucking clue what fascism is, you fucking moron.
All right, I have two things. One, I want to start a bundle of bricks fascist party because fascism means bundle of sticks. So a bundle of bricks, the Lego fascist party. And two, maybe don't compare someone who is not a member of the current Republican Party to fascists in America. We have actual fascists in America that are in power in the House of Representatives right now, in the Supreme Court right now, will be in power in the White House and the Senate in a month from now.
Hey, that's okay. Look, sorry, because I see you see movie studios. Yeah, man. I blocked you because you said you voted for Jill Stein. Yes. And I'm about to do it again, by the way. However, before I do, I'd like to say that that's fine if you never do that. The reason you never do that is because you don't actually have any standards. That's the reason I do that, because I have very firmly held fucking beliefs and standards, and I value the things that I care about. I value human beings that are harmed when fucking retards like you vote for fucking Jill Stein. And I'm saying that fucking word because I'm taking it back. I'm fucking taking it back. I was called that. I'm autistic. I've been called that before. So I'm taking it back. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Look, vote. Here's the thing about voting. Okay. The problems that face us will never be solved by voting. The structural problems that face us electoralism is not the answer to those problems. We have to wait for the system to collapse under the weight of its own internal contradictions. And when that happens, we're ready to step up and help people. In the meantime, voting is harm reduction under the system we're all trapped in.
Right.
And voting for Jill Stein does nothing to reduce harm towards anyone.
I don't know if English is your second language, or you just, you're probably just don't understand English, despite, speaking it. I'm not telling you not to. I'm saying I wish you wouldn't. Those are different things. I can't tell you not to. I could say that all I want to. That doesn't mean that you're not going. I mean, like, I'm not stopping you. Okay, I can't, literally can't. That would be illegal, and I wouldn't want to. You're not worth it. But I'm saying right now, since you showed up in our fucking chat and you fucking trying to virtue signal that I voted for Jill Stein, too many people in this chat and too many people on this stream are actually care about the issues at hand and actually understand the things, to the layers and the complexities involved here. To think that that's anything other than just like you don't pay attention to politics. You just know you've seen somebody else say that, oh, I don't fucking care about the Democrats, Republicans are all the same. I'm voting for Jill Stein. You saw somebody else say that, and because you have no fucking mind of your own, you adopt that as your position. Now you're going around repeating it like a fucking moron. Goodbye.
I mean, look, bottom line, Jill Stein was denounced by the International Green Party during this election because she's not representing the philosophy of the Green Party. She's a rich white lady with Raytheon stock who runs for president every 4 years and then keeps all the money.
Right.
That's all she is. And her vice presidential candidate this year came out against trans rights. So fuck that.
And against abortion rights.
If half the country or 51% of the voters had voted for Jill Stein, there'd still be a fucking genocide in Palestine. Period.
Yep. Yes, 100%. She would not do a single thing to stop it. Not one.
There was no vote and there was no vote that would prevent that. Just going to happen. I hate to be somebody that like tells you whenever things are just that shitty in the world and that there's nothing you can do about it, but sometimes you just got to hear it from somebody that, knows better. I'll consider it, man. Like I really was thinking about it the other day, and I did used to my brother used to call me that shit. And I, now later on in life, I know that's because I was on the spectrum, am on the spectrum. And I started thinking about it in terms of like, co-opting, terms because they have power. And like, I get called that shit in my comments section, in my filtered comments. I have that word, it's where you never see it because it's filtered.
Right, it's filtered, yeah.
But it's there in my fucking filtered comments right now. I could go show you where probably every other day or something, somebody's saying something like that to me. And, in a way, I kind of feel like I'm tired of fucking caving to, the not to say you're a woke scold or anything, but I mean, that kind of sentiment of like, oh, we don't have to be ableist. What has it fucking gotten us? That's where I'm at with it. Maybe somebody can convince me to, not go further down that path, but I don't know.
I think that I'd meet you halfway, and I'd say that what we need to be doing now is talking shit about conservatives, not trying to debate them or persuade them. And this includes voters, because that's what Republicans did. The median voter is Hitler. Okay. And they want blood sports. And the only way we're going to win in the short term is to give them that. So shit talkers who come on not to debate, but to attempt to humiliate and successfully humiliate the other side and make them look like clowns is what we are going to need in the short term to rebuild a progressive coalition in this party.
I think that over time I will chill the fuck out a little bit more again. But I mean, since the election, obviously I've been a little bit quick to, especially when it comes to primarily when it comes to these Jill Stein motherfuckers and like anybody that's like, of course, Trump voters. Yeah, you have zero tolerance here. You're not welcome.
That's why I said I'd meet you halfway, because I would take what I just said and add to that. But there's no need for us to be bigoted in our language. Right. There are far more creative words we could use that are much funnier to say and to hear than like the R slur or the T slur or anything like that.
But I mean, it's also,
you know what Jay is? He's a nitwit.
True. Well, I mean, to get into the tactical inward of it all, right? That's not something that Vosh should have ever done. But I mean, the strategy is not without some merit, I think, as far as like remove that word from it specifically. But when he entered into the whole context of that, for anybody that's not aware, years ago, very stupid. He said he was very stupid for doing it. But kind of like the approach isn't, I don't think, shouldn't be shut down completely. Just the specifics, yes. If you're a white guy, don't say the fucking N-word, idiot.
I think we are funnier and smarter than them, and we should act like it. We don't need to use the same joke. We don't. Oh, okay. How many times do I hear R slur, T slur, this and that whenever I post on the internet? Well, not so much anymore because I got off a lot of those sites. But like,
all right,
like
I can't. I want to say real quick. I cannot take credit for the median voter as Hitler. I stole that from Merrick DeVille. So
fair.
All right, Jay Kung, I will take this under advisement for now. I mean, I do agree also generally with what this one says. I mean, yeah, we do, and I've never strayed away from that really.
Yeah.
But
we can talk shit without being abusive. That's my point. Is
the best
we can
thing
talk
to do.
shit without being bigoted.
Right.
The best thing to do is to fucking get into a situation where you can navigate someone into just doing it themselves, and but doing it from a place of bigotry to reveal the bigotry of themselves. For example, one of the nominees for I guess biggest chud meltdown in the Shillies or the Chuddies next week, Shillies and Chuddies, but he's up for a Chuddy, and that's Jim the Casual. Who just after a couple of hours of being shown to be completely silly on his positions when it came to Star Wars and the Star Wars accounts saying don't be racist, and him and his friend were like, oh, why'd they say that? It's just you say that, blah, blah. And turns out they hadn't even read the tweets that were and then eventually out of frustration and just being drunk, he just said the N-word. He's like, oh, okay, we win now. And
look at the way that I mean, she lost the election, but look at the way that Kamala Harris dog walked Donald Trump in their debate.
Right.
God, yeah.
That's what we need. We need more of that.
We need more of that.
Every single, without exception, every single public engagement with conservatives needs to be that.
Right.
You're not there to win an argument. You're there to win a blood sport and to humiliate the other person.
One of the reasons that I consider when I think about when I've said that word is as being it useful, I suppose, is I've never had anyone say that word hurts me. If someone had said that, I would be much more cautious and probably never even say it. No one said that to me. The only person that I know personally that has been hurt by that word repeatedly is myself in the past. Okay. But that's the same thing. Going back to the Chunky Monkey incident where I said that completely unrelated to any kind of race thing, but then nobody that mentioned it in time, oh, I can't believe he said that. Nobody was like, that's actually really harmful to me. Nobody said that. That hurts me. Nobody said that. It was all just like, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you? And that shit doesn't really work too much for me. But what I have gotten is chuds that try to shame me for using the R slur. I've gotten that.
I'll speak up now, Dane. I've been called it. I don't like it. I just didn't want to make the conversation about me.
Doesn't need to be. I mean, that's not a confrontation or conversation. I mean, it absolutely needs to be about you because you're co-host and you matter. So yeah.
Well, but so do other people, right? But I have, when it's come up before, when you've said it, I'm like, hey, dude, quit it, because I don't think you should be doing it. Because
I will say that I have chosen to say it the last couple of times I've said it. It hasn't been there was a time a little over a year ago when I was kind of saying it without thinking about it.
Right. That's the last time we talked about it.
Ooh, anyway, the tactical R word, huh?
What I'm saying is that chuds have come back to me, obvious right wingers and stuff have come up and be like, "Oh, you said the R slur," It's
right.
Okay, man. That. So you must see that as a powerful word that I shouldn't be using if you're saying that. That's the way I've interpreted that, but maybe that's faulty. Nonetheless, all right, I'll stop. Okay, you guys won.
Thank you.
See, I listen. I'm not a fascist, Nunya.
Well, it's I think when it comes to the Jill Stein voters, the term I heard on guys, it must have been years ago on Serious Inquiries Only. It's a podcast. Vice signaling.
Mm-hmm.
It's this need to be like, I did the bad thing, right? The MAGA hat is vice signaling.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you
it's not
don't
like it's a fashionable hat.
Right. It's not a fashionable hat, especially if you don't live in a red area. If you live in a purple area or a blue area, if you're wearing the MAGA hat, you're vice signaling.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think the main reason not to use words like that, even if we are talking shit, is because we want to signal to the right people that we are not a threat to their rights and their existence.
I'm very, very much from a strategy perspective. The reason that I'm choosing now to not say it is because that's what we've been talking about for 10 minutes now.
Yeah.
So, and that's not what it's really not. It's a non-issue that doesn't need, it's like we don't need to be talking about that. And I regret that has created that need to talk about it. But I mean, this is by the way, Mark Merck, fuck yes.
Fuck yeah.
Everyone, it's, I know everybody hates opening up the old email and firing one off, but it's super easy. And you got to think like this is about lives.
Yeah. And this, like mathematically, this is more powerful than voting.
Yeah. And I will say though, having done canvassing and grassroots organizing and stuff, emailing is good.
Yep.
Definitely do that. Writing a letter by hand is even more powerful, and calling the office and leaving a voicemail, even if it's a scripted one,
right,
is the single most effective thing to do, because
under
their internal metrics that they use, they have an actual formula.
Right.
Their formula tells them that for every person who calls, that person represents 10,000 other constituents who didn't call. So you're speaking with the voice of 10,000 people when you do that.
Right.
This is this is true, but I mean, I don't know if you're suggesting that we shouldn't either, but I mean,
right.
I don't think that hypocrisy on its own is a reason to be like, I'm not too worried about hypocrisy or being a hypocrite, except in the sense that the things that I believe are based on whether or not they are harmful or not. And so if I'm being a hypocrite, then I'm probably saying or doing something that could be harmful to somebody. And that on that level is why I care about hypocrisy. This is fucking awesome. And I'd like to see one of those. Anyway.
See, I think I think I saw those hats in the 2016 election. I think by now, just like the prevalence of the shitty red hat is just, you're not even looking anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate the effort.
Yeah. It's important to remember the right isn't ashamed of being hypocrites, not because we should do that, but because pointing out their hypocrisy is not an effective tactic.
No.
Because their supporters don't care, and the people who are against them already know. So when you say that the ex-conservative argument is hypocritical, you're not moving the needle in either direction.
Right.
No one cares.
I want to just say, unrelated, really, to anything, kind of more in the fandom sense of things. I hate videos like this one, and they're so popular now. In-game from Thanos' perspective is pretty hilarious. Who are you people? He fucking knows who they are. He knows very well who they fucking are, even though he is 4 years earlier Thanos in in-game.
He's
aware. He's aware of he's been aware of them in some sense since 2012.
Right.
And then this is 2014 Thanos, I believe.
Yeah.
And then also he learns more about them after he does his nebula switch and gets, and watches some of her memories or whatever. It's like, what are you talking about? How does this have almost 600,000 views of people probably in the comments going, oh yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm doing ableism again. I'm fucking sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, it is okay. Like,
but I mean, like, this is anti-fandom without the bigotry in a way.
Like I think there is an amount of like on the surface, right? Like, not if you hadn't told me that's how the video was, like that he has no idea who these people are, I'd be like, well, that's dumb. But if I just saw the video title that was like, oh, I redid Avengers Endgame, but from Thanos' perspective, isn't it funny? I'd be like, it might be funny because like there is a whole like, okay, so he knows who they are in 2012, but like now shit's weird because now like they were over there before and they had this level of technology, and now 2 years later they're here with this level of technology, and there's 2 nebulas and 2 rocket raccoons, and what the fuck is going on here? Who is Ant-Man?
That's not imitating stupid. I mean, technically, stupid is ableist. It's just a very accepted term.
Yeah.
Because it's not. But I mean, the sound I made is very closely associated, with like things like Down syndrome and stuff. And that's it's not really good that I did that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Our language is unfortunately riddled with descriptive words, adjectives, I guess they're called, to describe low intelligence that are all ableist.
I mean, look, you can pry stupid from my cold dead hands, though.
I think there is a case. Now, I'm not going to use it, but I think I'm not going to use the word, but there is a case for reclaiming the R word or something, if you want to call it that, because that word originally was not a slur.
Right.
It was just a neutral scientific term, but it got appropriated.
It's still technically on the books, though.
I'm not sure if it's still used in medical literature, but I mean,
not used,
language.
But it might still be on the books.
Yeah, the meaning of words is determined through social usage, so it has become a slur.
Anyway, let's move on from that, please.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do believe that, like Bob said, there is an argument to be made for it. However, if that argument is taking up time that should be focused on things that actually really matter to a lot more people and have more direct impact and stuff, then I don't want to use it. So fuck it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's a ever since, like, it's kind of weird that people talk shit on Endgame so much now, because when it came out, it was fucking, it was kind of the peak, man.
Like, I've watched it since then, and the one thing about it, watching it in theaters, like every time in theaters, it's amazing. It's a great in the theater experience, but watching it at home, especially because so when Endgame came out, we all went and rewatched Infinity War beforehand to jog our brain. If you just pop on Endgame, you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
It is. But I mean, why would you just hop on Endgame? You got to watch. But to me, they're kind of one movie.
2 hours.
But I mean, to me, I think Endgame is the more. And I made this argument in the debate that Bob and Turf and I had, where we argued our favorite, the best, objectively best superhero films. And I think I won, and they think they did too. But
you think you objectively won, and they objectively think they won.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's only because none of you have heard my argument yet. So
okay. I haven't even thought of my argument yet.
We might have to do a round 2. But no, I mean the argument I made, one of the arguments I made in that is that because I think it was Turf that was like, oh, that movie's just popcorn. It was like, what are you talking about? I mean, even the popcorn part of it, which is the very end, 45 minutes, hour, whatever it is, that's all so fucking substantive and ties up so many character arcs and stuff like that, things that had been, brought up, little moments from previous movies, like the example of Civil War, where, Black Panther doesn't care about Clint's name. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But then in the Endgame, when the middle of all this fucking action, he's like, here, Clint, give it to me. And it's like, hey, he fucking cares now,
Yeah.
Or
I would say
little things from previous Ant-Man movie where she was making fun of him for calling him Cap, you know what I mean? But then she calls him Cap. It's like all that little stuff. That's not just popcorn. That's fucking, character moments that are coming to fruition.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing is that on a rewatch where you're more disconnected from that, you forget those moments are there. You forget why they're there. So it does.
I never fucking forget.
Disjointed. I know you don't forget, but I
forget MCU lore. What is this sorcery you speak of?
Because where the MCU lore.
No, I know you're right. Casual viewers, people that don't haven't watched.
Yeah,
right.
I think Endgame is the platonic ideal of a fan service movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That is how it. Too many movies try to do fan service without laying the groundwork necessary to pay that off.
It didn't. They very easily could have just done most of the movie could have been a bunch of that, but there's that whole quiet fucking doom and gloom section at the beginning of the movie of Endgame, for the first, I don't know how long it is, but after basically once Thanos loses his head and you see Thor's realization of this doesn't fucking change anything. It's oh fuck, man.
Yeah, it was the perfect payoff of Thor's arc, Cap's arc, and Tony's arc through the prior 20 movies or whatever it was. Those were the 3 anchor characters of that story, and all of their plots got resolved in the most satisfying way possible.
Well, I mean, and Scarlet Witch to it. I mean, she definitely didn't have as much of a coherent through line except for her general. I don't know what side I really want to be on. What do I really believe in, kind of thing.
Yeah, lots of other characters too, but the early MCU, the first few phases were built around the chassis of Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America.
I think I said Scarlet Witch whenever I meant because I was thinking Scarlett Johansson. I was talking about Black Widow. Yeah, a minute ago. Sorry.
But yeah, I was gonna say, like, Black Widow has a pretty solid through line and a pretty good arc through the MCU. Scarlet Witch is present.
She's still in the middle of hers. She still hasn't had her upswing again. You know, I think she's gonna play a pretty big role going in like the next big popcorn flicks, and probably have big hero moments. You know.
I think she's dead.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna stop her.
Yeah, I think the Scarlet Witch is incredibly dead.
She's coming back.
I think she's coming back.
You think so? I
think
yeah.
Yep. I think she's going to be a major player in Secret Wars. Whichever one of the two big Avengers movies coming up transitions into the X-Men, they're going to bring her back to do like a reverse No More Mutants thing or something.
Yeah,
that's what they're going to do.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, to do a subversion on that might be pretty awesome. This is ever since Endgame, you know, or basically, I guess it was Infinity War, right? Was it Endgame? I forget. No, it was Infinity War.
It's Infinity War.
No, Endgame, because it was after Cap does his trip through time to put the stones back. Man, make a little short movie of that.
Oh my god, that would be so funny. Like, you probably
he shows up and he's like,
after that.
What are you doing here, man? Like,
I know you.
Yeah. This is where I was sent after I fucking grabbed the cube like an idiot, and it randomly because of plot reasons made me go away.
Right. Red Skull's like, hold the fuck on. You got to do like a whole hero's journey thing, and like, here I am, the Ubermensch, and like, now you're back, just dropping off my pet rock, and Cap's like, I gotta go, I got a girl. Wait.
Well, I mean, you know, Red Skull does just lay it out like pretty well. Like he says it. He's like, look, it's my job now to help other people get to what they want. I can't ever get what I want.
Right.
That's a fitting end for him, I suppose.
Yeah.
But by the way, shout out to just mad respect to, I think his name is Justin something Marchand or something like that. The guy that took over for Hugo Weaving.
Oh yeah, the guy did a really good job.
Excellent. He was in Walking Dead. But like he's really fucking good at that role.
Yeah. So was there another topic for tonight?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of topics, man. I just started talking about Marvel shit, and then, you know, it all goes down.
Hey, look, we've all had a rough conversation. We needed a Marvel break.
Yeah. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do for you guys. Okay.
Sure.
I'm going to introduce you to the podcast that I discovered 2 days ago. Not 2 days ago, because not only does it come along with music as a band that it was before it became a podcast. Trust me, I'll explain it. You're going to love this. I know you are. Who all has ever heard of the band called Necrogoblicon?
I love the name.
Has anyone ever heard of this band?
I have not heard of them, but I'm a fan of the name.
Okay, so there's a band called Necrogoblicon. They've been around for at least 12, 15 years or something, I think.
Damn.
And you know, they've got some music, and it's a metal band, but like it's tongue in cheek. You know, I like heavy metal music and stuff, but I don't like it when it takes itself super seriously.
Oh,
you know, so I do like stuff like Metalocalypse, you know, stuff like Death Clock. That's like, it's very good metal music, but it also is doing it with like a wink, like, yeah, this is fucking absurd, but we're awesome at it, you know. That's kind of fucking heavy metal that I like, right? And Necrogoblicon is that. Another example of that type of thing might be like baby metal, you know.
Oh, sure.
Baby metal is fucking really fun, but it's. Have you heard of baby metal, Morgan?
I've heard baby metal before, yeah.
Okay. And then there's a band that's actually, in my opinion, better than baby metal. They're called Bandmade. Because baby metal is like a bunch of guys in masks playing the instruments with like some pop girls singing in the front,
right?
Japanese pop music. Whereas Bandmade is actually some girls playing some badass instruments. And they're all the actual instrumentalists and stuff.
Nice. That's cool.
And they dress like maids. Nonetheless, Necrogoblicon, okay, is. So I came across a video titled "Not Fred Durst" or something like that talks to a goblin, and there's this green goblin looking creature in the, not green goblin, but a green goblin creature, you know, fantasy goblin, in the thumbnail with a guy that is wearing mostly his face is covered but it's Fred Durst. And I was like, this is fucking bizarre. I want to see what this is about. And it had me laughing my ass off. I was trying to go to sleep whenever I turned it on, and I ended up watching almost the whole fucking hour podcast.
Damn.
And it's just so fucking brilliant. And then I actually started watching other episodes with way better guests than Fred Durst pretending not to be Fred Durst. Like Andrew Santino, who is a good comedian and not a fucking piece of shit. As well as, let's just look at it. Let's see.
All right.
So they were a band, and then in the last year, they started doing like a show where the goblin is a mascot. It was always a mascot for the band itself. So the guy in a green goblin costume not Green Goblin, a green goblin costume.
Green Goblin, not the Green Goblin.
And he goes out and he does funny stuff. He's in the videos doing funny shit. They do a really good cover of Chop Suey. But and more recently, in the last month, they started a podcast where it's just John Goblicon, which is his name. And he's hosting this thing. Yeah, Okie Dokie. Oakley Dokley is another example. I have not heard of Max Sabbath. That sounds interesting, but Oakley Dokley. Oakley Dokley guys, holy shit.
The Oakley Dokley guys are crazy.
How about has anyone here ever heard of The Darkest of the Hillside Thickets?
No.
That's a Lovecraft themed band. I would encourage everyone to check them out. I'm gonna put their name in the chat, so everyone should go look them up.
You do that.
So here's Necrogoblicon. There he is. That's John Goblicon. He does a show called Right Now. So let's see. Do I have the audio on here? No, I don't. One second. Let me share this again. Okay. Here's a quick short with because like the funny part of this is, them dancing around it being Fred Durst, pretending it's not, but
that's really good. Is that?
It's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. Everybody sucks. Stick it up your.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Just think about it. Just think about it. I feel like I'm bringing a lot of hate your way, and hate is all the world has even seen lately. So just keep rolling.
You got some really amazing proverbial quotes. If I could just footnote you,
really,
I might use some of those, but I will footnote you on those. Okay.
Keep it rolling, baby.
Okay. There's an example there.
When you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're putting on your shirt right before your tie, what do you usually say to yourself at that moment?
Look in the mirror and I say, it's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. I say, everybody sucks. Do you have a song title that might work for that?
Well, that's the interlude. That's a great interlude.
I don't know. I'm sick of everyone and their dumb.
Anyway, okay. So that's those jokes for that episode, but there's so much more to it.
So is that a guy in makeup or is that a puppet?
No, it's a real goblin person.
That's
okay.
Authentic goblin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, so he up until last year, I looking into them, I realized that they went through a pretty substantial shakeup lineup wise last year, where the guy that's in all of the music videos they have singing is no longer the singer in the band, which sucks because like he's very entertaining. He's very kind of reminds me a bit of Serge from System of a Down, but he's got his own thing going too, where he's like makes goofy faces while he's singing and screaming, and he's like doing it kind of like a wink and stuff like that. Because like I said, I don't love whenever those guys take themselves too seriously, but here we'll just, you know what? I'll get the fucking copyright claim, not strike, hopefully, but
hopefully not.
Wait, this isn't the one I meant to do. My bad.
The music portion will probably get suppressed almost immediately, though.
Nah,
you'll hear the lyrics.
You know.
That's what usually happens. Yep.
Music got shut down.
Yeah, it faded into the background a lot.
Damn. Okay.
The
Well,
algorithm is
that's all right.
really fast about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Well, then we can just watch some of it and see how that, it's good time metal. It's not like, taking it
you can still
seriously.
You can still hear it, the music. It's just barely audible and doesn't have very good quality anymore. There.
So like the hook of this song is like, we're all the same. We're all the same. It's like, fucking unity metal and shit. Everybody except the goblins the same.
Right, of course.
But fine, because so the best episode that I watched was with so far was with Pete Holmes. You guys know who Pete Holmes is?
I've heard the
not
name.
offhand.
He's he's a pretty funny guy. Have you seen the Batman sketches on YouTube where Batman chooses his voice?
Oh yeah,
that's Pete Holmes.
Yeah.
Oh
okay.
And he had a show on HBO called Crashing, which is pretty good too. But man, he says some really fucking powerful stuff in his discussion with him. It's like it seems to me that they tell the guests like all you can talk about anything, talk about whatever, just don't acknowledge the goblin as anything but a real goblin sitting there talking to you.
Right.
So with that in mind, like they're never like, oh, you're just a guy in a goblin costume or whatever. And it honestly creates a lot of opportunity for comedy, and I felt a little jealous watching it. I'm like, man, I wish I would have thought of something like this. But yeah, so they've talked to
Didn't your friend Gogu Fleck think of that?
Yeah, I was about to mention Grogu Fleck.
Grogu Fleck, yeah, I guess he did.
Because he had that conversation with that Pilar fellow.
Yeah, Pilar of Trash Man.
Yeah, and I mean,
the all-knowing trash heap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grogu talked to him like he was a real person and not a pile of refuse.
Yeah. He did treat him just like they treat the goblin. They're like, yeah, you're like a real guy, a real pile of trash. But yeah, so you got Ron Funches, Adam Pally, he's pretty funny. They had David Dastmalchian on for Halloween, the Super Trooper guys, and then Pete Holmes, Santino, Fred Durst was the other day. I mean Gary. It's just if you want something kind of out of left field and random, but also just fucking entertaining as shit, and the Goblin will make you laugh. Like the guy that's playing the Goblin, I think his name is I forget now actually.
John Goblin something.
Yeah, John Goblicon. He's no, so like now the guy that was singing in all the videos that they have up is no longer in the band, and now it's two guys that are doing vocals. It's a guy they brought in to do I guess the clean singing, right? Which metal bands are doing a lot more these days. Apparently, like they'll have two singers, one's doing clean vocals, the other's doing harsh vocals or whatever. I don't know why that is, except I kind of do. Because I've seen Tool live, I've seen Slipknot live, and both. The one time I saw Slipknot, Corey Taylor was kind of fucking sounding kind of rough about halfway through because you go back and forth between doing melodic singing and screaming. It kind of tears your shit up.
Sure.
And one time of the fives that I've seen Tool, same thing happened to Maynard. So it makes sense. But anyway, the Goblin is now officially, instead of just a mascot, he's now one of the singers.
I'm glad we're getting our first goblinoid musician.
Yeah, it's about time get that kind of representation, I think.
I'm in my head, I'm kind of hoping that one day we'll get an interview between John Goblicon and Triumph the Insult Comic Dog.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be good.
That would be a clash of the titans right there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like inherently Rose leans troll.
Mm-hmm.
But what your show was very goblin centric.
Okay, goblin-esque.
Give me an example of what like a nice roast would be.
Okay, it's amazing that you're both such a great host at this show. while not being traditionally attractive in any way. And that is such a beautiful thing. You have a great head of hair in most areas, and that's part of what your charm is. I think the more that you show your forehead, the more people fall in love with you.
Barbecued. He got me. Wow. Skewered.
It's pretty fun.
The goblin has really good comedic timing because like, and I, I'm expecting like whenever he makes they start referencing him or the guest asks about him that he's gonna do like I think it was Santino asked him what he likes to eat, and I was expecting he's gonna be like kitten heads or something like that. No,
Right.
he subverts that. He goes, I like chilies, baby back ribs. It's just like okay, that's somehow funnier than anything else you could have
Right.
said.
Well, especially because like when you're talking about like, oh, a goblin likes baby back ribs, is that like Chili's baby back ribs, or like I put a baby's back ribs into some chili?
Dude, what if we made some green hats that say MAGA?
Oh boy, I need some rum.
Or I mean, maybe they would say "Make America Goblin Again," but you know,
Sure,
that'd be
yeah.
fun.
But people would think it would mean "Make America Green Again."
Which also,
It's
yeah,
in the green hat.
America used to be very green until we fucked that up too. Quit fucking up America. Just stop. Just like.
Or we could do MAIA, Maya, Make America Indigenous Again.
Oh, they don't like that.
And they'll take issue.
They'll
They'll get really offended. These really alpha, stoic people.
I mean, if you want to talk about a group that like, even the Dems are happy to fucking kick in the teeth. It's the fucking indigenous people. Like,
yeah,
they sell them up the creek as fast as they fucking can.
Yep.
If there's a group of people who don't vote for Dems, and it's that I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I get it. It's indigenous people because yeah, they get fucking shit on.
Yeah, the Democrats are the worst political party in America, except for all the others.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, you guys haven't watched Penguin, so we're gonna talk about Penguin.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I won't fire you.
Thank you. I've already been fired once, so you can't fire me again. That's the rule.
How are you back?
How am I back?
Yeah.
Because I'm good friends with one or more mutant telepaths who may have rewritten your mind.
I mean, no, probably not. They don't know what that means,
No, they don't.
Yeah.
We can make
That's what I was going to say. Make America Gazpacho again. That Marjorie Taylor Greene would dig that one.
Yeah.
God, idiot. Okay.
Such an idiot.
She's very, very silly. So what do we got here? David Pakman made some good points about his experience on Piers Morgan recently. I really don't know where all this fucking anti-David Pakman shit comes from, to be honest, because I think the dude's generally got some of the fucking most, if not the most, like, radical or anything takes. He's got, what I would consider sensical, not common sense, but sensical takes that incorporate, the relevant context and come to a reasonable conclusion of the whole thing. But
I think I could be wrong because I haven't watched his content in a long time, but I think it comes from him being perceived, rightly or wrongly, as a liberal Zionist.
Yeah.
I don't watch enough of his content to know whether that's true, but that is the perception.
It's not. He's not. I mean, he's against. He's against. He's just. I think what it is he's just not as focused on that because for the same reason that we say that it was a non-issue essentially in the election.
Right.
He's not going to spend a lot of time, pounding on fault lines of that topic because, like, what is kind of the point right now? I mean, he's definitely expressed that there's a genocide in Palestine. So, I mean, what else do you want from the guy?
Right. That's about all you can reasonably do. Unless you actually have some amount of power, which we talked about this in back when we did Sunday Faps. We about the difference between influence and power is that like a media personality has some amount of influence. They don't really have power.
Yeah. Which is something, by the way, that chuds conflate all the time when they're talking about. This is part of the conservative narrative where they're talking about the Hollywood and woke culture and all that as if that is power, and they're ignoring what political power actually is, and that conservatives have most of it.
Well, and it's one of those things that they don't even. There's several layers of stupid to that, because like, and this is true of Hollywood and true of video games, which is another of these culture war fronts, where it's like, oh, these companies are putting this in. It's like, do you really think that? Like, those companies, people who run those companies are conservatives. People who run Hollywood, the executives, the C-suite, those are conservatives.
They are putting that content in movies, but they're not doing it for the reason
you think they are.
You think they are, yeah.
Right.
I wanted to kind of just look at this quick video of his, because he you guys had some good responses to this in the Discord. So this, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
That am I gonna be the target of Trump's new cabinet? Or is that, no, that's not the one that it was. It was the one I shared with you guys was the one about Civil War.
The Civil War one, yeah.
This one, I think maybe there isn't more of an argument for this being, one of those things where it's like, this is scary, but also he does lay out a pretty good, several pretty good reasons why it's something to consider.
Is Donald Trump's new cabinet going to target left-wing content creators, potentially including me? This might not be as crazy as it sounds to some of you, so let me explain. Before the election of Donald Trump a couple of weeks ago, I received a ton of concerned emails and calls and people just saying, hey, David, do you think you're in trouble if Trump wins? This guy really seems to want to weaponize his administration against anyone adversarial. And 3 weeks ago, I basically thought, I'm too small potatoes for Trump to care about what I'm doing. There's just no way. And something has now changed. And I had a number of conversations over the weekend with our fellow creators. And what changed is that now a bunch of the people that Trump has nominated, I know for a fact, know about my views on them. And at one point had staff that were keeping an eye on the show. And it is absolutely plausible that if confirmed, some of them would set their sights on us now. And I'm comfortable being specific. I know that as of about 18 months ago, people associated with RFK Jr. monitored what I was saying about him. I'm not claiming they were reporting back to RFK every day or anything like that, but I know that he had people associated with him who were very aware of the things I was saying about him on the show. I know that when she ran for president as a Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard staffers were paying attention to my opposition to her as a Democratic candidate. I know that when Matt Gaetz started having the sex trafficking prostitution allegations, he had staffers down in Florida who were watching what I was doing and what I was saying. So think back a little bit to Donald Trump's first term. I was obviously nowhere on the radar of Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. Rex Tillerson, it just no. Nobody cared what I was saying. Nobody was paying attention. Trump's first Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, did not have any staffers who even had an idea who I was or about the David Pakman show or about most of the shows that are sort of like at our level right now. And part of it was, when Trump was first inaugurated, I had 300,000 YouTube subscribers. Now I have 2.6 million. So that objectively measured, that has changed. But part of it is that a lot of the people that Trump is now picking are generationally my contemporaries. So everybody is just more clued into what's happening with online media and with independent media. But the really big difference is that the current slate of people Trump is picking are genuinely resentful, triggered people who would love to get some shows like ours shut down. And they will be operating in an environment where that kind of retribution has been promised by Donald Trump, and where they might even be expected to participate in it. And in terms of what we might see, they might even try to do it. Now, I'm not going to go beyond, if I were to come to you and say, I expect that on day one, Attorney General Matt Gaetz comes after me. Of course not. Of course not. But think back to Donald Trump's first term.
Especially not
the
now.
DOJ wasn't really hyped on shutting down left-wing creators in the first term, mostly because they were distracted by their own chaos. And this time it just all seems very different. Donald Trump and his allies are openly talking about, we're going to reshape the DOJ. We're going to reshape the FCC. The IRS is going to be something that we might use to target political opponents. They've floated things like media accountability boards. Who can we shut down? Expanding defamation laws to go after critics. Who do you think that that's going to be aimed at? Mostly the big networks that Trump doesn't like. He doesn't like how CBS handled the 60 Minutes pieces. He doesn't like how ABC handled the debate. Those are like the big targets. But you have to consider that there's only a few of those big targets. They're going to run out of those big targets in the major legacy corporate media very quickly. So just imagine the same vindictive instincts of the first term with fewer guardrails and more aggressive personnel. It could actually get pretty ugly for independent progressive media pretty quickly. This is not just about me or my show. This is about independent creators. If people start seeing political retribution against left-wing voices, the chilling effect of that could be massive. Because if they did go after a couple of the bigger progressive voices, what do you think is going to happen to the medium-sized progressive voices, the up-and-coming smaller progressive voices, those who are thinking, I'm really displeased with this new Trump administration. Maybe I will start a podcast or YouTube channel. A lot of them will just say, no, thanks. It seems too
I'm in danger. No, I don't think I'm in danger.
I have some thoughts on this. So the only thing I disagree with him on is that I think, maybe not him specifically, but broadly,
This notion that this could be a thing.
This notion that like this sort of group of middle popularity streaming left-wing or liberal commentators on YouTube and elsewhere. If you go after a Rachel Maddow, for instance, we'll just pick one out of a hat. Well, MSNBC has lawyers. She has lawyers. This will be a big court production.
Sure.
And if we've learned anything over the last 4 years, it's that the American people, unless you're exactly a nerd like me, have no interest in following a court case. Especially a federal one where there is no TV, there is no audio. It's just sketches and transcripts. Whereas they can very quickly put heads up on a pike with people like David Pakman.
Yeah.
To tie it in with something someone mentioned earlier about, so right now, YouTube has the FTC up their butt with some antitrust actions. And the commenter mentioned if we thought that was going to go away. And I think, no. Hey, Eric. How's it going, DJ?
Hey, Eric.
Welcome to pop on if you're free, Eric.
I think what the Trump administration will do is not end that lawsuit, but as part of the terms of it with their new DOJ, with their new prosecutors on it, will be you need to get rid of this sort of content.
Yeah.
In terms of they'll frame it as that, like, you are being selective in your speech. You need to promote free speech by, deprioritizing this content or removing this type of content, because that's how they couch all of their censorship is in this double speak.
Right. They're going to try to do to YouTube what Musk did to Twitter.
Yeah.
turn it into a free speech zone only for right-wing speech, right-wing speech dominates YouTube now anyway.
Anyways, but it's not.
Yeah, they're going to make it harder. They're going to make it harder for left-wing content creators generally, and probably won't go after specific left-wing content creators. They'll just suppress. They'll rewrite the algorithm to suppress that kind of content they don't want people to see.
Right.
Yeah, and if they give YouTube credit for their own wins, which I'm sure they do, they have to recognize that that's a potential harm to them. So, well, it can go both ways, and then they want to make sure that doesn't happen. I bet
they want to keep YouTube in their pocket.
I think it's going to be real interesting to see what happens in the video game space when they start doing these things at the Justice Department, like clamping down on pornography, which they will define to include things like video games like Stellar Blade, and all the other jiggle physics games will probably at some point not right away, but at some point in the administration will be
targeted.
Targeted as pornography, and then all those angry young men who voted for them won't have their jiggle physics games anymore.
Well, and
here's my question on that. Sorry, go
ahead. Even if the individual hardware or like software prices don't go up under Trump's tariffs, computer parts,
which they will.
Right, they will, of course. Computer parts and video game consoles are largely made overseas, particularly in China. So you will see that tariff apply to, for instance, the upcoming successor to the Nintendo Switch, whatever Xbox, whatever Microsoft puts out to compete with the PS5 Pro. And then once the current crop of PlayStations in stores runs out after the holidays, you'll see that tariff apply to that next shipment of PlayStations. Because the video game consoles and computer hardware, well, video game consoles specifically, are often sold at a loss. They're what's called a loss leader, where you sell the hardware at a loss to make up the revenue in software. But you can't do that under these tariff models that they're proposing.
So when it comes to like stuff like just for instance banning Gooner Blade, things like that, do you think that they can that the chud content creators can successfully maneuver that narrative to make it the woke's fault?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll try.
I mean, they'll try. Wow, man, that's
I think so many of those people are already poisoned to see everything as the woke's fault, that it's not a hard sell. If you thought that the failure of Concord was the failure of the wokes and not just it's a game no one heard about until it was canceled, you'll basically believe anything.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to be interested to watch how it plays out anyway, because the material effects of Trump's tariffs will be hitting people in places they don't expect. If you think it's expensive to build a new gaming PC now, just wait until the tariffs kick in.
Not just the tariffs, but Trump is already looking at removing the Biden administration's regulations on cryptocurrency, and the Biden administration has largely been skeptical of cryptocurrency, rightly so. The removal of that skepticism and those regulations will mean that on top of the tariffs raising the price of things like graphics cards, the demand for graphics cards will go up because crypto miners will begin to buy them again because it'll be profitable for them, which will make those rarer and more expensive twofold.
Yep. So when your dad loses his Christmas bonus, or maybe even his job, his manufacturing job, because of the tariffs and the deportations, and you can't buy your new gaming console, and you probably can't get away with playing Gooner Blade without getting a fine or something, will they turn on the big orange mean man in the White House who's doing all of that? Or will they successfully be told that it's the left who's taking all these things away from them? That's what I'm going to be interested to see.
Yeah, at a certain point that you would hope that dam breaks, that like enough people are going to go, walk me through it. Show me the math. Because it's not like you're not going to find a Democratic politician or even a Chinese politician going, wah ha ha ha, we want to raise American prices. You're not going to have a competing soundbite. You're going to have to make something up, and they will try to make something up, but it might be a death of a thousand cuts for them, where it's just like, wait a minute, all of these things seem mutually exclusive, and the only person we hear agitating for them is the clown in the White House and his sycophants. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, the potential silver lining here is that people, all of those low information voters we were talking about earlier, who vote on vibes, tend to blame whoever is in the White House right this second,
right now,
for everything that's going wrong with their lives when it comes to election time.
Right.
So in 2 years, when the midterms hit, if the tariffs are in full effect and the deportation attempts are underway and the economy is wrecked, we could see some changes happening, maybe.
Well, I think, assuming that, we're still having elections in 2 years, and I hope we are, they're already trying to figure out what to call their deportation infrastructure, because they are acutely aware that if enough people are calling them camps, that will be the end of them. Because no one wants to hear the American government is building camps.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure no one does. I mean, we did it to Japanese people, but here's the dirty little secret about deportation is that they're not telling anybody. You can't deport people to another country without that other country's consent.
Right.
You can round up all the people you like, but you can't force other countries to take them. So what are you going to do with them?
Well, this is what happened in Germany, and we know what they're going to do.
Yep.
So I have just one more Pac-Man video. We're not going to watch the whole thing at all, but like it is, he makes a good point here, and this is for everybody that is, I know that there's been a lot of sentiment expressed, and I recognize that some of it is just a temporary feeling, and that not everybody is really going to completely disengage and just like, I can't do this again anymore. But I mean, look, if you can't do it because of your mental health or whatever, that's understandable. But if you're just like giving up because you think that there's no point or something like that, I would say that you're doing exactly what they want, and that's what Pac-Man's going to express in this video. And I don't know, I found this kind of interesting. He had went on Piers Morgan shortly after the election. There's some interesting characters on this panel that he was on.
The Piers Morgan channel is such a
such a
so
piece
cringe,
of shit,
bro.
I had a realization after I was on the Piers Morgan show this week. These Trumpists expect us to do nothing and just shut up for the next 4 years. And I realized this really based on how I was treated on the Piers Morgan show earlier this week. Some of you I know saw it because you emailed me, and you picked up on this dismissive attitude, the eye rolling, the ad hominem attacks, like Dave Rubin calling me a smug prick because I had the audacity to call out that he had been receiving Russian influencer money. Here's that moment, by the way.
This has nothing to do with a well-funded evil money machine that the Republicans were doing. There's something called boys and girls. And
Ruben's the right guy to talk about
and
that, isn't he?
Most parents, oh God, you're such a smug prick.
It's funny because it's very easy to not.
Imagine Dave Rubin, of all people, calling somebody a smug prick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you Dave Rubin fans or what? What's the deal? I mean, You know, whenever I show a clip like this, I'm not necessarily expecting you to be like, I'm a huge fan of this person, but I'm asking you to engage with the ideas that are being expressed separate from that.
I have no affinity one way or the other for David Pakman because
It's really not a good idea to just consider ourselves fans of media personalities.
Right.
I think,
as I have said here and elsewhere before, please don't be my fan. I do not want you to be my fan. You can enjoy the things I have to say. We can talk about them. That's all well and good, but please don't be my fan.
Yeah, as that should go. Right. Yeah, I mean, be my fan, please.
Be Dane's fan. Be
Support me on
Dane's.
Patreon.
Go to patreon.com/actual fandom. Be Dane's fan. Don't be my fan.
Okay. I mean, I don't know when that happened, but okay. I mean, like, look, man, this is kind of the thing, right? Like, somebody can have 98 positions that you agree with, and then like at one point have said or done something or whatever that you think is like, that's stupid, or I don't agree with that. And then it's just like, dismiss that person outright. And maybe that's partly like in some small way, a part of the flawed thinking that the left can get into.
Yeah.
You know what
I was
I'm
going to say the left needs to bring back the concept of a united front.
Right.
These little differences don't matter in the face of the threats that we are up against.
Yeah.
Because what he's saying here, I mean, I challenge anybody to be like, oh, that's fucking stupid. I think he's saying a dumb thing there. I dismiss it. Like,
yeah.
Resort to insults and ad hominems, but some of these MAGAs now are visibly struggling not to resort to them. Piers Morgan opened the entire thing reconfronting me about a study on trans athletes that he misrepresented last time, and he misrepresented again. Take a look.
David Pakman, I want to start with you.
Oh yeah, and then there was the secondary part of this, Morgan, is I was curious when I was watching it, as an aside, I suppose, like how you feel about this, I guess using this, not necessarily language, but like this approach to combating misinformation around trans people, how David does it. Because it's like I can see, like it makes sense, but it also could be seen as just being dismissive, I suppose. And I don't know. I just want to hear what your thoughts are.
Sure.
You were very clear to me when we spoke before the election that this whole issue of transgenders in sport and so on was completely irrelevant and nobody cared. Let me remind you, they support policies that protect transgender athletes performing in women's sport. And I think that is madness. You're saying, well, because most of these things in this UN report were outside of America, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
What I'm saying, it's a completely contrived issue that almost no one cares about in every single opinion poll.
Wow. Well, the problem is, David, you couldn't have possibly been any more wrong, because the New York Times, the liberal Bible,
Pause.
I was already doing it. I was.
You just hear my rage. The New York Times is PSYOP. End of sentence. The New York Times is not a liberal rag. Piers, shut the fuck up. Choke on a New York Times copy.
It might have been like maybe the Obama administration was probably the last time that they could even be considered kind of that.
Yeah.
Right?
To be fair, I think a lot of mainstream liberals still do read the New York Times and consider it
sure
the paper of record. So
right, but
they need to fucking stop it.
I agree. I agree.
But apparently I'm a fascist for saying that, so you know. By wishing people would stop doing something, I'm a fascist.
I really
Holy shit! How long? What the? Hey!
Hey!
What's up, everybody?
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Good, good. How's everybody doing?
Back on the camera too. Oh my god!
Living the dream.
Let me see if I can get this fucker to zoom back out. Come on, zoom back out. All right. Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys? Oh, cool.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Mine's still the same one. I didn't get a new one. Mine's still old.
So I mean, yeah, he kind of does it again here in a minute, Morgan, where the kind of, I don't want to say language, it's like just an approach of dismissing what, I mean, he's dismissing the bullshit that Piers Morgan is saying about this study, but then he's kind of like, really the statement that kind of like grabbed me was like, almost no one is trans, you know, and almost no one like that kind of thing. Sure. It's like, it is statistically true, I guess, but I mean, it also feels dismissive at the same time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
about the ad that Trump ran, which is the Kamala's for they, them, Donald Trump's for you. They said it's one of the most effective 30-second spots in political history. Do you want to admit you were completely and hopelessly wrong about this?
No, in fact, in the aftermath, we figured out how dishonest you were, Piers, during that. And hopefully we can get a little bit of an opportunity. So let me lay it out.
Of course.
First of all, I went back and looked at the UN report in more detail. The UN report said nothing of the sort that you said. What you were referring to dishonestly was one footnote from an anti-trans organization making completely unsubstantiated claims. So I will wait for the apology from you. The UN report doesn't say that, but that wasn't the crux of your question. Second part of it, that ad with Kamala, I would have loved Kamala to respond to it. All she had to say was at the time that she said that, it was Trump administration Bureau of Prisons policy that that's what's available to trans inmates when determined medically necessary. She would follow the law. You haven't said that. And then number 3, Piers, on who cares about the issue, I checked Gallup survey, trans issues at the very bottom. The reality is almost no one's trans. Almost no trans people are in competitive sports, and people do not care about the issue. However, there's a lot of money made grifting about trans this and trans that, even from people on this panel. So I get why they keep bringing it up.
It's still just a footnote from an anti-trans group called the.
So, I don't know. I think it's pretty strong argument, right?
Which one? Which argument is the
all
strong
of it?
argument?
I mean, it just as a package deal, I feel like.
As a package.
You mean Pac-Man's argument?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, I guess here's the thing. To take it apart from the anti-trans side of things, the size of the trans population does not matter to anti-trans people, right? They don't care that trans people make up approximately 1% of the population.
Do you think that there's value in pointing out that there's so that it's such a statistical, almost I don't want to say anomaly, because you don't think there's anybody that might hear that and go, oh wait, what? I thought there was like this was a major problem or something. I feel like that could be something that happens sometimes, right? No,
maybe, but I think on the whole that there's a certain amount of okay. So if let's say you believe you have no engagement with trans issues, and you think that 5% of the population is trans than a 1%. You probably don't know any trans people in your life. A trans person, a trans athlete is a hypothetical to you regardless of what the actual number is, because the amount you are aware of in reality that aren't a nebulous group you hear about on news clips and in political ads is zero. So, it doesn't matter to a lot of people the actual size of the trans population. The other thing is that there's a certain amount of scaremongering and also infantilizing of women, right? Because we don't talk about trans men competing in men's sport at all, ever. And when these bills, particularly those that affect students, it's like, oh, well, you have to play with your gender assigned at birth. Well, you'll get trans boys playing in girls' sports in high school, and it's unfair because that's a boy. Especially if they started HRT. It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, this boy's gonna dominate girls wrestling because it's a boy. The fuck are you doing?
Yeah, and emphasizing the size of the population risks people who would otherwise care about their rights and should not caring. The size of the population is not morally relevant, and people should. There are trans rights issues that everyone should care about because they're human rights issues. And if your go-to point is, well, almost no one is a member of this group that's being picked on, then it risks a lot of people saying, okay, well, I don't give a shit if you pick on them or not.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that you nailed it, Bob. I think that was the kind of thing that I hadn't conceptualized. I hadn't put into words yet, but there was a reflexive, like, I don't like that he said it that way, but I hadn't really explored why exactly, but that's generally it. Yeah.
I think a good demonstration of that. Oh, if it's such a small population, we don't have to worry about it. That really not only harms trans people, but harms everyone is with these bathroom bills, right? It is that if you have a trans bathroom ban, mathematically, it is more likely to hurt cis people than trans people. Just because even if you're 99% right on that person is trans and 1% wrong that a cis person you think they're trans, so 1 out of 100 people you get wrong for cis people, you're still going to hurt more cis people than you are trans people. Yeah. And they can get away with that because, oh, well, it's only targeting this small group of people, ignoring the fact that, no, it's targeting everyone looking for that small group of people. It's why we've seen it with girls who are not the model girl in sports be accused of being trans. We saw it with Amane Khalif all fucking summer with the same thing.
Well, the only reason that I felt like there might be some merit in him saying it that way, and I recognize now that it's what you guys are saying is actually absolutely correct, and it's not going to strike people the way that it might strike me, which is that it doesn't tell me, oh, I shouldn't care about trans people because that's not how my morals are fucking developed. I'm not going to do that. What it would do to me possibly if I didn't know better, if I didn't already know better, is to be like, wait, why are Republicans so focused on this? If there's so few, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing that he might be. But I mean, obviously, it's.
I think that's what he's going for.
Yeah.
But
we're just looking at one component of his argument.
Yeah,
we're just looking at one component of his argument. We haven't heard the entire thing so far.
We haven't heard anything from Eric DeBunks yet. So
no, I was waiting for everybody. You guys were talking well before I got here, so I don't want to swoop in. I mean, I was listening to you guys on the way home because I just got off work, so I was listening on the drive in. So I saw all the videos and stuff from David Pakman.
Did you hear about Necrogoblicon though?
The what?
Necrogoblicon.
Oh, I must have missed that part. I didn't see that. But one of the things I think that I've tried to sort of understand, and not just with like trans issues, but like with gay issues with the queer community, is we have people who are allies that sometimes don't understand the nuance of what their words mean, even when we know they're not meaning it in a negative way.
Right.
So we get hung up on like, oh, they said it in a way that comes off demeaning, which I agree with. I think it is important to acknowledge that. But also it makes it seem like we're not supportive of them as individuals. And I think we need to make people let people know, because I think when people swoop in and see the Republicans, one of the things they have is the conservatives, they have this thing where they just prop everybody up no matter what. I don't think we should be in that space where, like with this Matt Gaetz thing, where it's like defend him at all costs. Like, no, nothing like that. But like someone like David Pakman is definitely an ally. He's somebody that goes out and does that. So I wonder sometimes if it's the fact that they are in a heated moment and they're trying to talk to these people in ways they understand, or is it because I know a lot of times when I'm talking to people who are more conservative, I have to remember that they're going to probably try and correct me whenever I say something that comes across progressive. Like, for example, the argument about trans women versus biological women and stuff like that. Those kinds of things that get hung up on. It becomes a pedantic discussion. Right. So you have to like correct it once and then move on, because you'll end up in a situation like you were with like Bob and what's his name, Grey Poupée or whatever the fuck it was, where for 1 hour they argued about the meaning of a word. And I think that just doesn't really accomplish much, because the people that are watching know what we mean when we're talking, and the people that are watching them know what they mean when they're talking. And so there's a little bit of like, I don't want to say casual wordplay going on, but it really is so weird. And I watched, I think it was interesting because Emma from the Majority Report went on Piers Morgan, I think a few days ago, and eviscerated him. And I almost think he has a fetish for liberals coming on and like spanking his ass, because it happens so often. And the other conservative people on that panel are just like this. They rarely ever even say anything. They're just kind of there on the panel, you know? And Piers is one of those guys where he would go, well, I'm not saying this. I'm just asking questions. No, you're not. You literally know what you're saying. You know what side of the fence you fall on. It's just a bunch of bullshit. But I saw that and I was like, we see the people like Emma go on there and then people would say, oh, they're virtue signaling and this, that, and the other. And trying to sort of say they're not making any money off of what they're doing. And so I'm like, what's the point of virtue signaling if you're not making any money off of it? That doesn't make any sense either. So it's just these weird discussions about how progressive people are supposed to act in conservative spaces. And I don't have the answer for that. You know what I mean?
No, there's no good answer to it, especially when you're talking about someone like a Piers Morgan, who is an agent provocateur, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And what Emma Vigeland understood is that she's there to do blood sports. She's not there to convince anybody of anything.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
That's the energy we're going to need for the next 4 years,
right?
At least,
absolutely. That's why I told people before we've been getting a lot of. I don't know if Dane, you probably haven't seen it, and I'm pretty sure that Morgan and Bob here probably hasn't seen it either. But I'm getting clips and videos sent to me from people, conservative people that we have. I don't know how to put this, that we bumped into over the years, who seem to wonder why all of a sudden we're so fixated on what's happening politically, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You guys spent years trashing Biden and Harris, and you still trash Obama, both him and his wife, and you're wondering why we're right now polarized by what just happened? It's only been a couple of weeks.
Right.
I think it's disingenuous, obviously. I mean, it just seems like they're...
Well, I think what they want is they want to move on. They want... They think
want, like David Bagman was saying in that video, they want us to shut up. I mean, we didn't really get to that part, but like they want us to just, hey, we lost, shut up and go away for a while. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's what I was trying to get to, is like, I know that it feels like to a lot of people that that's what you should do, and you may need to do that, and that's understandable. But if you don't need to, and you feel like you've got more to give, you probably should give it, because
they better get ready. Really... I'm going to be making video after video after video about any subject that I think is super important. And one of them is the issue with the trans stuff going on at the Capitol. Nancy is grifting off of this, just like everybody else in that space. Apparently she's sending out fundraising newsletters to her constituents and trying to raise money off of this. And it's just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I did research when I made my video. There's been no incidences of any sort of sexual reports of any kind coming from those particular spaces in the U.S. Capitol, because it's already heavily guarded. Right. People just can't go in there and use the restroom. It has to be people that are actually working in the facility. So
I want to say this to Juan, like, I mean, Juan, I don't get the reason why you need to, I mean, like, what do you mean by that? How is David Pakman, of all people, low on empathy? He may not be saying in that one example, those one, few words that he's using there, that the most, I guess, expressing empathy in that regard. But like, if he's low on empathy, what is Dave Rubin? What is, fucking, I don't know. I just don't see the need in completely dismissing somebody because they said something kind of clumsy in a otherwise pretty well argued protest.
And he can fix the way he phrases it. He can change his language. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like he said something that was irredeemable.
No, I don't even like. I think he gets them wrong, but I don't think that he is 100% wrong. And I think that for the environment he's in, that's not a bad argument to make, even if it's not the argument I would make.
Yeah, I mean,
I do have this pulled up though.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think the other thing we have to remember is going into this particular environment, just like I do when I go on other people's podcasts, you can't go in there and be empathetic. That's not going to work with these people.
No,
they don't want to hear that. You have to go in ready to fight for your point of view, and that requires you to be a little bit hardcore, and it's going to come across that way. When you're in your own space, like on my channel, when I'm making my own videos, I can go into a little bit more nuance and be a little bit more sympathetic and empathetic to the subjects, and I always will. But when you go into this type of space, and I know this for a fact because I've done it over and over and over again, you have to be hardcore with these guys. They do not care about other people the same way we do. They just don't.
You're not gonna, it's what I've tried to say. Sadly, like to guys in the initiative and whatnot, in the last year or so, I've switched my approach even to where, like, earlier in my YouTube career, I would focus on the bigotry, and not to say you should never not focus on it. You should just I think you have to be more strategic about when you bring it up, like, because when you're talking about like these anti-fans and stuff that we often talk about, there's so many ways that you can show them for being wrong without even getting into any morality of it or anything, you know what I mean? Like, or any kind of, you know, oh, they're bigots or whatever. Like, yeah, I will mention that, but not first, because I mean, I can fucking tear apart their arguments or their positions on media, you know, left, right, and center all day long. And then I'd be like, and on top of that, they're fucking bigots. Listen to this. You know what I mean? Like, appealing right to the bigotry angle is not the best way to appeal to people that are more inclined, if they're not already on the side of that, but maybe more inclined to lean that way.
Yeah, you make your opponent look stupid first, or you make the audience laugh at them first, and then you break down the bigotry. You kick them while they're down.
I mean, the thing is, their feelings are always hurt, so it's kind of like just making it obvious that that's what it is really the
right.
the trick,
Right, and you got to trigger that and expose that, which is why, like, what you did with Jim the Casual worked. So that's the strategy. You find the shortest possible route to get them to take their mask off, and then no one can pretend that they aren't a bigot. And then,
which, by the way, this next Wednesday, you're going to see some shit. You're going to see the best of the best and the worst of the worst. Okay, when it comes to chud takes and chud takedowns, and I wish I would have thought this out a little bit more. I could continue that kind of wordplay, and maybe I'll do that for the intro of the thing. You know, like chud takes and chud takedowns. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be special. We're going to have guests. Really, one guest. I'm not sure if we're going to have or not because I haven't heard back from him yet. Eric DeBunks, are you going to be able to make it?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I thought that it was kind of a given that I was going to be there, but yeah, I'll definitely be
there. I mean, it's later in the day of this thing because Turf was willing to do it later because you know, he's just making a special case for it.
It's Wednesday though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I should be good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll be good.
I mean, we're probably going to go for several hours just to kind of get through everything and talk to all the guests that we're going to have and whatnot. So,
right.
And I hope we better.
I just want to point out you just described your co-host as a guest.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, he's the one that said on the show the other day, he was leaving. He's like, thanks for having me on. I was like, well, it's the
show. I'm always so grateful. RL says some people need their feelings hurt. There's so many video clips of me, like, not necessarily hurting feelings, but exposing how ignorant people are. And I have to give myself a pat on the back. I do it so masterfully sometimes. Like, it's just, you know, just asking simple questions.
When you give a roast, you give a roast.
Well, I made a video. I haven't uploaded it yet, but I was like, it's a short, and it says, MAGA, stop scrolling, right? That's the beginning of it. Then I'm like, is there something that Trump could do to make you ever turn on him? Like, is there anything that he would do at all? It doesn't matter what it is. Anything he could do that would make you change your mind about how you feel on him? Because if the answer is no, congratulations, you're in a cult. There has to be something that someone can do to make you change your opinion about them. And if you can say there's absolutely nothing, then you need to sit back and reevaluate why you're following that person.
Right.
There's no person that I believe is above reproach for a lot of things. And so for me, I look around and I'm like, there are a couple things that I would totally walk away from someone for. Yeah, there's a few things that I would definitely do that with. And it seems like Trump is one of those people where it doesn't matter what he does, they just keep on and keep on and keep on supporting him. And it's a pretty fucked up situation that we're in. So
I would, by the way, I would recommend anybody getting kind of back into kind of fandom stuff here real quick. Eric, I don't know, I actually did plan to watch this video, not knowing you'd be on, but
we can still watch it. I don't care.
So, I know some people are like, I don't know, I feel uncomfortable. It's awkward. But
no,
like, it's an all timer, I think.
I'm very self-indulgent. I love to watch myself. So
okay.
You look so good.
A fucking banger, man. This one was like, yeah, it speaks to kind of the other side of the coin to what we've been doing a lot of discussion about the mechanics, the kind of dynamics of like chud mentality and just like MAGA mentality, and how did we miss certain aspects of things, and what is it that's appealing, blah blah blah. And then you kind of turned back in the other direction for this video, which I appreciated. And said, no, but let's look at this simple fact. You know what I mean? These simple things that we can kind of tell just by paying attention.
Let's have a conversation, just a stream of consciousness, thinking out loud. And we'll see if this makes an interesting video. If I feel like it's good enough to upload, I will. Spoiler alert, I did.
I
want to talk about where we are now culturally and how we got here. And not some existential way. Like, I really want to make it as simple as possible. Because I feel like the writing's been on the wall for a while when it comes to channels like Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker, Geeks and Gamers, all of this. It's the writing's been on the wall for a while. You guys know, with myself and the Shillcast and all those guys, we've been talking about this for a minute. So there's no big sort of mystery on the foundation of this kind of content, which is sort of tied back to, you know, Ghostbusters, Star Wars, Gamergate. It all sort of goes together. And it's literally gaming the algorithm. We know they make money off of it. And that's essentially why this whole system exists. But I want to take a look, or at least talk about the people, the communities surrounding these channels. I've had the pleasure of meeting some guys who have been smart enough to get out of this. Like, they understand what it is, and they've been very helpful for me in understanding how people find this content and how they become connected to this, why they feel compelled to be a part of this. In some way. I mean, obviously, there are some people that are going to have different reasons for going to these channels, but ultimately, it's about being given a purpose, feeling like you belong to something, because you find these guys and these guys tell you, like, everyone hates you. Hollywood hates you. Star Wars hates you. Marvel hates you. Disney hates you. Like, it's this very almost like brutal, visceral thing where they tell you that everything is against you, and they give you a purpose, and that purpose is to be a part of their community and thus generate revenue for them, line their pockets with ads and super chats and plushies and whatever merchandise they have. So ultimately, their reasons, Nerdrotic and Critical Dream, we've talked about this, the material harm is the same, so I don't give a fuck what the reason is, but it's most likely money for most of these guys. But the guys, the ones that follow these folks, the ignorant people that don't see it for what it is, they have been compelled to be a part of this because they feel left out. And instead of these guys giving them a positive community to be a part of, they have like basically slathered them in all of this negativity about everything. And then you have people who were totally comfortable doing whatever they were doing before, not bothering anybody, having no problems with anyone, getting pulled into this. I was one of those guys. I got pulled into this. Quick backstory on me. I run 2 YouTube channels pretty much regularly. My other channel, Eric's Reloaded, which is my bigger channel, more subs, been around a lot longer, kind of just talking about pop culture, primarily DC and Marvel. I was over there making videos about She-Hulk. And all of a sudden, I was getting people from this community coming into my comment section, regurgitating comments from these guys. I'm minding my business, running my channel, having a good time, great community. And here I am having to deal with this in my live streams, in my comment section. It's crazy. So they're coming over and they're harassing me. So I feel compelled to say something back. That is literally why I started this channel.
And, you know, hats off to whoever facilitated and encouraged you to do that, make that shift too. But like, I mean, you make the point that, man, they are not content to just have their thing and go do their thing over here, right? Like, you would think if that was what it was really about, like, okay, you feel alienated by these things, you feel like it hates you, okay, whatever the fuck, okay, fine, go over here and do your thing, right? No, it's not just about that, though. It is about spreading that fucking cancerous message, you know, and that they have to convince other people that this is the case. Where it's like, you know, that should be enough for a lot of people anyway, but I know it's not, to show you that it's not really about just what they say what it's about. You know what I mean? There's an insidious motive undercurrent there to why they do this shit.
Well, it's the same. There's sort of a level of when you talk about proselytizing something like that, this is why the Mormons send their youth out as missionaries, is because they, on some level, yeah, you might get some converts, but what you will certainly do is you will create young people who are from your community, who you have told the outside world is going to be unfriendly to you, and then you send them into an unfriendly environment to be a burden on people who will then be unfriendly to them, and reinforce what you have told them. And that's exactly why when it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, gay people or people of color are gonna hate you for saying the true thing, and then if you get that guy to go out and say the true thing to a queer person or a person of color, and that person is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Then all that's done is fulfill that prophecy that they were set up to fulfill.
No, it was never anti-woke. That was never a case with me, ever.
Yeah.
He meant into even paying attention to this discourse at all. Like,
yeah, I mean,
he was doing just regular fan shit, which you know, ideally we could all just do that. And if they wanted to watch this garbage, go watch it and talk about it amongst themselves, but they can't fucking do it.
Yeah, the product they sell is conflict, not fandom.
Right.
They can't make money unless they're at war with somebody, which is why they're all whining that everyone is leaving Twitter for Blue Sky now.
And then following it, trying to follow everybody to Blue Sky. Yeah.
And Blue Sky's block features are just
and Blue Sky enforces its terms of service.
Yeah,
I said it on Wednesday, but like, man, it was brilliant of them to do that invite only period up until I think February this year, because it allowed an actual culture around of people to have the time to breathe and go, wait a second, it could be like this if we keep it like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's how that culture has already developed in Blue Sky, and hopefully it remains strong. It's been good.
Well,
to
now
see
you have all these op-eds about how Blue Sky is a dangerous, echo chamber. It's like, well, wait, point of order. What the fuck is Truth Social then? What the fuck is 4chan then?
Well, I mean, let's think
fuck
about
is Twitter now?
Is an echo inherently a bad thing? If the thing being echoed is a fucking good idea and it's moral and it's wise, is it really such a bad thing to hear it repeatedly?
And it's not an echo chamber. I'm new to Blue Sky on there, but I've seen there's conservatives on there. They're just not being assholes.
Yeah, right. You just can't go around calling people names and dead naming people, misgendering people, calling people slurs. That's just common decency.
Right.
It's
you can disagree on Blue Sky. I've had plenty of really good discussions with people I disagree with on Blue Sky, because we all know that as soon as someone's an asshole,
it's anti-social is what Blue Sky is, and that's a good fucking thing, because we need that so bad.
It's an anti-social social club.
I also want to point out that one of the things I hear quite often when traveling the lands of the lost is, if we want something as a community, we should make our own space. And it's like, okay, cool. We make our own space, and then all of a sudden, we want to be in that space now. It's not yours. You can't have it because it should be free speech for everybody. And it's like, you can't keep saying that we can have our own stuff, and then when we do that, you want to come in and shit all over our house. Like, that's
and when you're talking about websites,
right?
These people continue to just purposefully ignore. Elon Musk is public enemy number one on this, is that when you sign up for these websites, doesn't matter which one it is, you sign a terms of service. And what that means is you have signed away your free speech rights. You don't have them anymore within this context. They do not exist.
Well, I've always tried to tell people that free speech does not apply to private businesses. It's a thing with the government oppressing the press, coming after public or citizens for speaking out against people like Donald Trump or any other politician.
Free speech is honestly a pretty specific thing that only applies to specific things. And like they think it's just everything. I should be able to say anything, anywhere, all the time. And it's like, man, no, even if we're talking about having a civics discussion about our local politics or whatever in the literal town square, the physical town square, you can't just start fucking, saying slurs and calling people names and shit and starting shit, because like people are going to not be, hopefully most people are going to be like, this is antithetical to progress, to productive discourse, and we fucking want you away from here. And that's not anti-free speech. That's you're actually slowing free speech down. You know, your speech should achieve something. Having a discussion should reach a fucking result, or at least, you know, come to some conclusion. Anyway.
And if you want to talk about people not having free speech in a privately owned forum, we can do that, but that's going to require you to interrogate the concepts, the underlying concepts of capitalism, and nobody's willing to do that.
Oh, they're not willing to do that
because private ownership of social media is an analog to what was happening to private ownership of the means of production and property and land and the commons in the 18th century and the 19th century. It's the same process that's happening, where a common space that everyone had free access to without needing to pay for it is being taken over by people with a lot of money, and they're restricting what everyone else can do.
Right.
So y'all ain't ready for that conversation, but when you're all ready, we're here, we're waiting.
We're waiting for you.
Yeah. If you want free speech on Twitter, you're going to have to get rid of Elon Musk. You have to choose billionaires or free speech.
Just
that's
reject that this might have something to do with race, but I've really almost, I think I've ever seen anything about The Rock being specifically about his race as like a negative thing, really. Maybe I'm wrong there, but like, if there's something that's been said about that in this specific example, okay, then yeah, that's not good. But
I don't think I've ever heard any arguments about it at all. Period.
I haven't heard anything about this movie at all. I don't know what you're like. I
The Rock's personality and his persona, and just like the fact that he was grandfathered in because he's anti woke. Just the personality and everything. It's like I feel like that supersedes any kind of racial bullshit for him. Maybe in certain little examples here and there, some idiots are saying something, sure, but like, I would say that for me, it's more about it being a goofy Christmas movie, and I don't like goofy Christmas movies.
Well, there's only one Christmas movie, and it's Die Hard.
Yeah.
For me, it's that The Rock should, by all rights, have been the inheritor of Arnold Schwarzenegger style movies.
Yeah.
And he continuously made really weird choices that weren't that.
Yeah.
Until it was like too late for him to claim that.
I disagree though, Morgan. That's not the only one. There's Die Hard. There's Batman Returns, which is not a good Batman movie, but it is a good Christmas movie.
Okay, you know what? I said corrected.
Die Hard. Die Hard 2 is also a Christmas movie. By the way,
you might as well just watch Die Hard though, because it's basically the same thing.
It's the same movie.
Yeah.
Except not as good. Scrooge. Whoa.
I mean, isn't Gremlins technically a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Gremlins. The Long Kiss Goodnight.
I've actually got a list somewhere of my weirdo Christmas movies, like anti-Christmas movies kind of thing. It's like I don't like movies that are just traditional Christmas shit.
Oh, look, the chat. I just looked at the chat. I'm like, yeah, people were thinking the same thing I was thinking.
Partly
I remember
because
just
I think
thinking
I had crappy childhood, Christmas memories and stuff like that. So I just kind of like reject the traditional shit in general. But I do like a good anti-Christmas movie. Nightmare Before Christmas, things like that, which is really actually kind of just a pro-Christmas movie. Anyway.
Anna and the Apocalypse is one of my favorite Christmas movies.
That Mars Mutant movie? Do you mean fucking Total Recall? Holy shit. What? It's a masterpiece, man.
They're remaking it too. So
movie, but it is a masterpiece.
They're remaking it again? They've already remade it once.
There's plans to do another one, apparently.
Oh, no.
I mean, are they going to try? You either do something very different or you don't do this, which is try to remake the goddamn Verhoeven one. Like, why would you do that? That's the one thing that the 2012 Colin Farrell one, which is not very good, but they did make the right call there. They didn't try to recreate the Verhoeven film. Iron Man 3 is another one. Fuck yes. That's a really good one.
I just watched it the other day. Like, it was just like it was on TV, and I just hunkered down and watched it, walking through the living room. Like, I'm just gonna.
It's a pretty good movie.
It's not.
What was the one that was out? Violent Night. That's the one that was out last year or the year before, where it's actual Santa doing Die Hard.
Sure, I think
that one was a lot of fun.
Apparently, there's a Jack Black movie where he's Satan playing Santa.
I saw that, and man, I think that the original title must have been Satan, because it's just called Santa. But like the premise is this little kid can't spell very good, and so he wrote a letter to Satan, and so Jack Black shows up as Satan, and he's like, "Yeah, it might be worth watching. Who knows?"
Well, a lot of people are saying that that's trying to indoctrinate.
God, I hope so. I hope we'll get lots of Satanists from fucking Jack Black's Christmas movie, where he learns to be fucking. Because there's literally a moment in the trailer where he's like, the kid's like, be nice to people. And he's like, I don't understand the words you're saying, or something like that. So yeah, I'm sure the movie where Jack Black as Satan learns to be nice to people is gonna fucking make people Satanists, right? Fucking idiots.
Well,
it is
it'll
Jesus'
do as
birthday.
well
I
as
mean-
D&D did, I imagine. It'll convert as many people to Satanism as Dungeons and Dragons has.
Well, I mean, look, if the message of the movie is that Satan can be turned to good on Jesus Christ's birthday, I don't see the problem here. Isn't that what we want?
Well, no, because the Christian nationalist message is that God can't help people, only hurt them.
Oh, right. I
That
forgot.
God
about
is not all powerful. God is only a harmful force to harm the people you want harmed.
Yeah, I mean, what's good Christmas content is Futurama Christmas, the Xmas episodes.
Oh, the Xmas episodes are wonderful. The only problem is I have a friend who will, starting in about a week, do nothing but quote them every time you talk to him. From now until about Valentine's Day.
No, I mean, I see stuff, man. It's just like you have to learn to like filter shit that just doesn't make any sense and is bad and stupid. So,
I mean, I know a lot about it. I have a show every week where I talk about pop culture. I know a lot about the movie. It's just one of those things where it was supposed to be a direct to streaming thing. They spent a bunch of money on it. They decided to put it out in theaters first. It underperformed. End of story. It's really not. It's not that exciting,
Yeah.
Patrick H. Williams has a great video. He has a lot of them, but he has a great video about how The Rock and Ryan Reynolds are the only two movie stars anymore, and yet they are very different from movie stars of the past for specific reasons. Like they prioritize their brand over making good artistic choices in a lot of ways. Like Ryan Reynolds has Deadpool, and that's a good artistic choice. Obviously, it's something he stuck with and fucking pushed through, and we thank him for it. But outside of that, what does Ryan Reynolds do? Everything is like a shade of Deadpool in a way.
It is just PG Deadpool.
Yeah. And then there's the example of was it Red Notice or whatever it was?
Yes.
That they were both in, and both of them have their own liquor company. He has a cell phone company. They got just various diversified fucking things that they do. That they're business moguls, and they both made sure to have scenes in that movie where they're each sitting there with like their brand of liquor next to them.
Yeah.
While they're talking, and it's like that's obviously something that's contractually obligated, and that's just a weird thing to prioritize. Compared to
there's a lot of people. Freaking Rihanna never has to make music again for the rest of her life. I mean, she's got a fashion line and perfume line, makeup line, and she hasn't made an album since like 2015, I think, somewhere around there. I think she did the songs for Wakanda soundtrack, but that's it for Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. She doesn't really care about music anymore. She's got a family. She makes money off of her other endeavors, and she's good with that. I think a lot of celebrities are thinking, how can I have 5 different things going at once and then just sit back and rake in the money.
Especially if
goes all the way to the top, man.
I think especially if you're talking about the music industry, where like there's no money in music, it's all in touring and stuff, and touring
and merch from tours and things like that.
Yeah, isn't Jessica Alba a billionaire now because she has like a makeup company or something?
Probably.
I mean,
makeup is a very
for her,
lucrative business. You make a lot of money off of makeup.
I mean, not really good for her because fuck billionaires, but I mean, I guess good for her, generally speaking.
I mean, like there's a lot of industries that people just don't think about. Makeup is one where it is so inexpensive to manufacture makeup palettes and things like that you can go to a website, stamp your name on something, mark it up to whatever you want, sell it, and if you're good at it, you can make a huge markup. Something that costs you $3 to make, you can sell it for $40. And people
you can do that with coffee too.
Yeah,
and in fact, Nerdrotic does that as well as a couple of those other guys. Where it's like
it's a lot of ways to do that. You have to be a very good or I guess slimy salesperson to sell that kind of stuff. It's like the car salesman effect.
Yeah, the Adam Project was okay. It was entertaining. It was like that was him and the director Sean Levy, who directed Deadpool and Wolverine. That was their second movie together after Free Guy, which is a very good movie, I thought. And that was their attempt at like, let's see if we can do a more straight, kind of a, not as funny comedic based action movie. And then it was while they were working on that they decided to do Deadpool and Wolverine.
I think they've proven with the Deadpool franchise, they can just do whatever they want. It doesn't really matter,
But I mean, I was going to say
Ryan-
that Arnold Schwarzenegger was not doing contractual obligations to show some product. His shit was like, I want to make sure I kill more people than Sylvester Stallone did in his recent movie.
Right.
You know, and I don't know. I kind of prefer that brand of action hero.
I respect it. All right. Well, it is getting on 1:30 in the morning
it's
here,
late.
so I'm gonna bounce, gentlemen.
All right. Bye.
Take it easy. Nice talking.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here too as well. But it's
All right.
definitely always fun conversation with you fellas and ladies.
Well, it's nice. It was nice to meet you, Eric.
Oh yeah, nice to chat with you too, Bob.
Have y'all not?
I didn't say very much.
I mean, we've
got all
talked
my
in
talking
between
in before
chat
you
and
said that.
video, but I don't think we've
Okay.
ever been on stream together. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The meeting of the minds
kayfabe
finally
meeting.
occurred.
Yeah, I got all my talking done at the beginning.
By the way,
so-
Morgan, if you want, okay, well, Morgan's gone, but I was maybe they're still listening. If you can do, if you want to do your stream, your video game stream through the actual Phantom channel on Sunday, you're welcome to do that. If not, probably they'll be streaming. What was that? Dragon Age Veil?
Dragon
what is it?
Age.
Yeah,
Dragon Age of Consent, I think.
Dragon Age of Consent is going to be on the Fapcast channel Sunday. So.
And all of the dragon libertarians know the Dragon Age of Consent.
Yeah, they
for
know
sure.
they know the Dragon Age of Consent. They don't like it. Anyway, what do you got coming up, Eric?
Sunday, I'm doing a ranking of all live action DC TV shows on my
nice.
Shimoda channel. Also, my viewers hit the tip goal, so I have to wear all pink for that stream, which is going to be kind of interesting. I got the drip; it's fine, but I'll wear all the pink for the stream, and that'll be great.
I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm in the pink AF era right now. I've been incorporating pink into my shit.
Yeah. I see. Look, Bob has got the pink hair on Arnold down there, so it's good to go.
Yeah, that's Conan the non-binarian.
But anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing this weekend, and then of course I've got my regular streams next week. I'm probably not going to do any videos this weekend. We're putting up our Christmas decorations, so I'm going to be kind of busy doing that.
Okay.
We actually went to TJ Maxx. You guys have those near you? TJ Maxx's?
Yeah.
There's a spiral of like money that we spend at TJ Maxx because we go in there like once a month or something, and we went there looking for Christmas decorations, like because they're a lot cheaper in that store. And, it's a seasonal thing. We don't want to spend a ton of money, so we went in there, and they had so much stuff. We went in and we were like, oh, we're only going to spend like $30. We spent like $100 at TJ Maxx, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just. But we got a ton of stuff. I'll do like videos and live streams so everybody can see all the decorations. At least make it worth it for all the money we spent.
Hell yeah. And Bob, what about you?
The Shillies are on Wednesday. I'll be there for that. That's all I have planned.
It's going to be quite a few folks there, I think.
I'll tell Bob that I love your thumbnails, by the way. Your new thumbnails. They're pretty
thank you.
fucking amazing. Yeah. I was like, look at that. The big red lettering. I love it.
Yeah, I'm still trying to work out a way to fit in a red circle and a red arrow pointing at nothing.
Just do it randomly. It doesn't have to be anything important. That's the first time they realized that was Arnold. Oh my gosh.
And I'm going to be,
really?
I've got some stuff coming up after the Shillies that I'm going to be diving into, some more traditional content from my channel, like, video essay type stuff, but maybe a little bit more loose. But like, I want to do a video about mid-range budget sci-fi action movies that have some shit to say. That's one that I'm excited to get into.
Yeah, I miss those.
Like where there's a lot at these days.
A lot of those kind of things are going straight to streaming now.
Yeah.
You can find it. They clog up a lot of the Amazon and Netflix back.
I don't know about you guys, but I find random really good shit on streaming, like those kinds of movies, those mid-budget movies where I'm like, this is amazing. Why it was not promoted?
I just went and looked at the movie list on Disney Plus for the first time since they kind of combined with Hulu, and I was like, holy fucking shit. I mean, Barbarian, like all kinds of shit. Now they got the new Alien movies on there now.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this might be my new favorite fucking streaming platform just because of this. They've got a lot of banger horror movies and stuff there.
So does Tubi. Not everything there is good, but there's some hidden gems on that streaming site, and that one's free.
Yeah, I like Tubi, but Tubi you have to watch. You have to keep up with it every week because they get things and they go away very.
Do they
quickly.
have ads? Because I can't do ads. I just like
at the beginning and the end they do of the movies.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a lot of the Scott Adkinson movies on Tubi that I'm a big fan of Scott Adkinson's work. He's an interesting mid-budget action star. Who,
yeah.
if he'd been around in the 90s, he would have been huge.
Nobody should make Dark Phoenix. Leave Dark Phoenix alone. Leave Dark Phoenix alone. All right, guys. You guys have a lovely weekend. And I think maybe next week I'll probably have some video of me on my new scooter. Got a scooter.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know everybody's dying to see that shit. Well, yeah, on that note, I'm going to show this Shilly's promo on the way out the door, and be sure to subscribe to everybody you've seen here and in the description of this stream. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, I don't like you very much. No, I'm kidding. But you should. And love y'all very platonically, not at all in a weird kind of way. And yeah, peace.
Peace.
Thank you. Thank you.